Shut up, green pea. You've embarrassed me again. I won't let this slide. The crow shouted angrily at the parrot. Stop calling me green pea, the parrot retorted, clearly annoyed. And by the way, your clothes are slipping. She pointed at the leaf beneath the cage. The crow glanced down, just in time, to see a leaf slowly floating to the ground. Oh no! His eyes widened as he quickly fluffed his featherless wings over himself. Excuse me, sir. Could you pick up my clothes for me? He pleaded urgently. Amy giggled as she walked over to the fallen leaf and picked it up. Black coal, I have your clothes now. If you behave, I'll return them. Otherwise, I'm keeping them. She grinned playfully. Black coal hesitated. Just then, a gust of autumn wind blew through, making him shiver. He looked at the leaf in Amy's hand and immediately nodded. I'll behave. Amy beamed. Good. Remember your promise. She stretched onto her tiptoes, trying to hand the leaf back, but the cage was just out of her reach. Mag chuckled, then bent down and lifted her up. There you go. You're the best, father. Amy kissed Mag on the cheek before passing the leaf to the crow. Here, silly black coal. I accept this graciously, Black Coal muttered, hurriedly wrapping the leaf around himself again. Amy hopped down from Mag's arms and waved. Bye, Black Coal and Green Pea. Bye. But next time, call me Sunny, the parrot corrected. Perhaps she's quite adorable, Black Coal muttered as he watched Amy leave. I'll let it slide for now. After leaving the magic potion shop, Mag and Amy walked toward the center of Aiden Square. The vast, circular plaza had numerous landscape plots, each designed to represent the different species of the continent. It was said that Aiden Square mirrored a map of the Norland Continent, with Chaos City at its heart and various species surrounding it. The further east they went, the livelier the atmosphere became. A lava demon child, his body covered in fiery cracks, dashed past them, his flaming hair flickering like a torch. Behind him, a forest troll kid with a blade of grass on his head ran in pursuit, followed by two dwarven boys wielding tiny hammers. In Chaos City, parents never knew who their children would end up playing with. As the children raced past, they each slowed down momentarily, their eyes lingering on Amy. Mag's expression darkened, and he instinctively positioned himself to shield her. She was his daughter. He wouldn't let just anyone approach her. Amy, on the other hand, was delighted. For the first time, children were looking at her with envy rather than mockery. They rested on a stone bench for a while, and as they stood to leave, a 5-year-old human girl with her hair casually tied in a bun stopped beside them. Father, I want my hair like hers, she pleaded, tugging on her father's arm. The man, well-dressed and in his early 30s, looked at Amy's beautiful braids and found himself in a dilemma. Well, Yaya is already very pretty. He was at a loss. How was a warrior like him supposed to weave such delicate braids? Then, he shot Mag a jealous glance. Either this man had extraordinary skills, or he had a good wife who did their daughter's hair, unlike his own wife who had sent him out with their child while she went gambling. But this bun is ugly. I want braids like hers. The little girl pouted, stroking her hair unhappily before bursting into tears. Her father sighed, wiping her tears away. Don't cry, baby girl. I'll buy you lots of nice things. He sent another envious look Mag's way. Mag couldn't help but feel a little smug. He was grateful Amy hadn't worn her hair in a bun that day. Picking up Amy's hand, he said, Let's go, Amy. Just a moment, father. Amy walked over to the crying girl and gently wiped away her tears. Mag watched her fondly. She was such a kind-hearted child. The girl's father also breathed a sigh of relief, hoping Amy's words would comfort his daughter. Amy smiled. Don't cry. Only my father can make these braids. Even if you cry louder, your father still won't be able to do it. The little girl, who had been about to stop crying, froze. Her eyes darted between her father and Mag before her wails intensified. Mag blinked, stunned by the unexpected turn of events. His little girl truly was one of a kind. He glanced at the girl's father, who was equally dumbfounded. Grabbing Amy's hand, he quickly apologized. Sorry about that. Then they hurried off. On their way home, Mag stopped at a pancake stall. The vendor, an elderly man, worked with a large cylindrical oven and a basin of dark yellow cornmeal paste. He expertly slapped portions onto the heated surface, where they cooked in moments. His business thrived. Children clutched copper coins eagerly as they lined up, eyes darting around in anticipation. Others, without money, crouched nearby, watching longingly. The stall's simplicity reminded Mag of a similar vendor from his past life, who had made a small fortune selling flatbreads. A memory surfaced, his predecessor searching the streets for Amy, only to find her among those hungry children, staring at the steaming pancakes with longing eyes. Tightening his grip on Amy's hand, Mag smiled. "Let's go home, Amy. Tomorrow morning, I'll make you ruggiamo. It'll be 100 times better than these pancakes." Amy's face lit up. "Thank you, Father. Your food is always the best." She cheerfully followed him home. As Mag and Amy strolled past the magic potion shop once more, they spotted the lean old man in his black robe, carefully pouring water over his 2 birds with a small watering pot. At the sound of footsteps, Urian lifted his gaze, glancing briefly at Mag before focusing on Amy. A flicker of green flame ignited in his deep-set eyes. Mag instinctively stepped to the side, shielding Amy behind him, while offering Urian a polite nod. Without further delay, he took Amy's hand and guided her toward their restaurant. "Father, why didn't we greet Black Coal, Green Pea, and that old magic caster?" Amy asked, tilting her head curiously as they walked away. Mag chuckled. "We, may have slightly overdone things yesterday with their birdcage. It might be a bit awkward if he brings it up. Besides, I already nodded at him." Though the bird had deserved its fate, Mag couldn't deny the minor embarrassment. After all, Urian was still their neighbor. However, what truly unsettled Mag was the way Urian had looked at Amy. He had caught a glimpse of something in his gaze, something resembling greed. If he were still the formidable knight he once was, Mag might have already drawn his sword and demanded, "What are you looking at?" But in his current state, challenging a powerful magic caster could result in a watering pot, or worse, a fireball, hurled at his head. Better to stay cautious, he decided. Until he understood Urian's true intentions, he wouldn't let Amy wander alone. "System, how much for strength?" Mag suddenly inquired mentally. System will issue a serious warning. Strength is not for sale. Only by completing missions can you earn opportunities to grow stronger, the system declared solemnly. 1,000 gold coins. Strength is not for sale. 5,000. You do not have the authorization to purchase strength. 10,000 gold coins. Mag raised his offer once more. A long pause. Then, suddenly, colorful fireworks burst across his mind, forming a shimmering message. Permission granted. Strength plus 0.5. Status. Available. Price. 10,000 gold coins. Mag's jaw dropped. 1,000,000 copper coins? You greedy. That's 3,000 plates of Yangzhou fried rice. He sighed and then smirked. I don't have the money right now. Can I get it on credit? Huh? An ellipsis floated across his mind. Serious warning. All transactions are cash only. No credit allowed, the system responded gravely. Mag grinned. Annoying the system never failed to lift his mood. He estimated it would take about a month to sell 3,000 plates, which meant he wouldn't be upgrading his strength anytime soon. Fortunately, a new dish was on the horizon. Laji Ruggiamo should be much simpler to prepare than Yangzhou fried rice. With the ability to stew meat in advance and bake multiple buns at once, it could be a more efficient way to earn money. Mag longed to regain his strength, not just to protect Amy, but to lift her up with ease. He could hold her now, but his weak body couldn't throw her in the air like a strong father should. Back at the restaurant, Mag poured Amy a glass of water. It was already 11 a.m., time to start preparing lunch. Father, come quick. I think the ugly duckling is about to hatch. Amy called excitedly from behind the counter. Already? Mag raised an eyebrow in surprise. Amy crouched near the egg, looking up at Mag with wide eyes. She placed a finger to her lips. Shuh, don't scare it. I heard a sound just now. It's coming out soon. Mag knelt beside her, listening carefully. At first he heard nothing. Just as he was about to rise, a faint scratching noise caught his ear. It was soft, like tiny claws scraping against the surface. He froze, holding his breath. Amy beamed. "Did you hear it, Father? The ugly duckling is coming." Mag nodded. "Yes, maybe in a day or two." He ruffled her hair before standing. "I'll make lunch. You keep an eye on it?" "Okay." Amy gently covered the egg with a blanket, watching it with quiet anticipation. After lunch, Mag cleaned up and reopened the restaurant. As expected, Mabai was the first to arrive, followed by Haebing, Haga, and Connie. Other familiar faces trickled in, greeting him with friendly smiles and calling him Mag. By closing time, Amy counted their sales with a proud grin. "Father, we sold 90 plates today." Mag nodded. That seemed to be his current daily limit. The restaurant was slowly building a base of regular customers. While few could afford 3 meals a day like Mabai, many returned every few days for a plate. Before heading upstairs for bed, Amy crouched beside the covered egg. "Ugly duckling, sleep tight and hatch tomorrow. If not, I'll roast you with a fireball." Then she trotted off to wash up. Mag chuckled as he wiped down the tables. If the creature inside the egg understood her, it would be trembling in fear. After finishing his chores, Mag went upstairs. Amy was already sound asleep. He tucked her in before heading to the bathroom. After his bath, he changed into sleepwear and lay down, exhaling deeply. With a thought, he accessed the experience bag for Laji Rujiamo. In an instant, a flood of knowledge filled his mind. Ingredient preparation, seasoning, cooking steps, all imprinted as though he had spent years mastering the craft. Now, only practice remained. Mag lay in the dark, staring at the ceiling. Then he suddenly frowned. "System, shouldn't you be giving me a new mission by now?"
Hey, welcome to Firescale Audiobooks. If you enjoy our audiobooks, please consider subscribing to the channel. Also, feel free to share your review in the comments section below.
"What mission?" the system asked, seemingly wondering. "I'm going to enter the test field now. Aren't you supposed to give me a mission to, master the Laji Rujiamo in one night, and then give me a reward?" Mag asked, wondering. "System has no missions for you right now. You may do as you please," the system answered calmly. "I don't want to learn without a reward," Mag said indifferently. "The test field will disappear in 24 hours after the experience bag is opened. Do what you like," the system said in an indifferent voice too. Mag raised an eyebrow. "Whoa, is this the same system I know?" It talked back to me. This is its little revolt? Mag didn't want to waste his breath talking to the system. He took a look at the 24-hour timer on the door of the test field and opened the door with his mind. His whole spirit was sucked into a little man like the last time. When he opened his eyes again, he found himself in that enclosed kitchen. Mag took a look around. In the corner of the cooking bench stood a round oven, its outer casing made from silver stainless steel, an electric oven. It was somewhat like a traditional wood oven, only more convenient. Mag walked over to the oven, took off the lid, and looked inside. Then he nodded contentedly. "This oven could allow me to make at least 15 by G bread loaves one. By G bread is a kind of bread. At one time, I can indeed cook this much faster than Yangzhou fried rice." Beside the oven was a spice box. Inside the box, Mag found bay leaves, Chinese cinnamon, star anise, all the spices needed to stew the meat. A few bags of flour were lying in the kitchen cupboard, and there was a half drawer of streaky pork and a small pile of pork ribs in the fridge. Well, now it's time to show off my true cooking skills. Mag washed his hands first and took a large piece of streaky pork from the fridge. After washing it, he cut it into chunks that were 15 centimeters long and 10 centimeters wide. Then he put them into a large jar and added different spices. Normally, the meat should be stored for at least a day, but it was ready after only 5 minutes in this test field. Mag put the meat in the pot and added spices and seasonings. He heated the water to a boil quickly over high heat and skimmed the scum off the stew. Then he turned the burner down to low heat to cook it. After 2 hours, it was done. As the stew was simmering, Mag started his journey with flour for the first time. After practicing thousands of times when learning the Yangzhou fried rice, Mag's cutting skills made him capable of dealing with almost all the work in the kitchen. However, kneading dough was another matter entirely. It called for strength as well as skills. Although the system would help him recover his strength every hour, kneading dough was quite an effort. He had to rest for a while every 15 minutes or so. His weak body was really cramping his style. It took him more than an hour to get the dough thoroughly kneaded. When the dough was ready, he let it rest for half an hour. Then he tore it into small balls. He took a ball of dough, stretched it long and thin, rubbed some sesame oil on its top, and sprinkled some pepper salt on it. Then he rolled it up, pressed it flat with his hand, and made it round with a rolling pin. By now, the bread was ready to be baked. Mag turned on the oven, preheated it, and put the bread on the hot cooking surface to harden it. Then he moved it to the side of the oven and let it stand vertical till it was ready. He made 16 by G bread loaves on his first try. When the bread loaves were ready, Mag took one from the oven. Since it was his first time, the bread was not very well shaped, and it had some cracks. He hadn't been very successful. The stewed meat was almost ready too. As he opened the lid, the pleasant aroma tickled his nose. The light brown meat looked good. Some fell apart, though. There was still room for improvement. He remembered when he had Rigiamo and Xian 1 in his previous life. He had written down some comments and requirements in his microblog afterwards. Now he had to act on his own requirements. His face became a little sour. You reaped what you sowed. He didn't know how long it would take him to make a Rigiamo that good. Then Mag started his tedious mission of making Laji Rigiamo again and again. He stayed very calm, though, since it was not the first time he was going through this. He didn't feel uneasy staying for a long time in this enclosed kitchen. He didn't know how many batches he had made. On the 30th day, Mag skillfully took a by G bread from the oven and sliced it open gently with a thin knife. Then he took a chunk of meat from the pot, chopped it finely on the cutting board, and stuffed it all in the bread. Finally, he added some gravy to it. A steaming Laji Rigiamo was now ready. System, what about this one? Mag asked, full of anticipation. According to your comments and requirements before. 1. The meat has to be tasteful. The lean part should be soft and chewy, while the fat shouldn't be too oily achieved. 2. The bread has to be white. The outside should be crispy, while the inside soft and spongy. Near the edge, on the top and bottom, it should have a round strip which is golden brown, and the middle part should be golden brown too, and shaped like a chrysanthemum. Achieved. 3. The meat should be delicious, while the bread crispy and soft. It should release juice as one chews on it. Achieved. Congratulations! You have met all the 3 requirements and mastered the skills of making Laji Rigiamo. Now you have gained the right to buy the ingredients needed for Laji Rigiamo and to use the relevant kitchenware, the system said. Perfect! Mag took a bite of the Rigiamo in his hand. The crispy by G bread had become a little softer after the gravy seeped into it. As he bit into the agreeably fat meat, delicious juice came out. It tasted so good that he closed his eyes in spite of himself. It was most satisfying. No sooner had he swallowed than he opened his eyes and found himself on his bed again. He moved his mouth and tasted nothing at it novel Benet at. He didn't want to sleep anymore as he thought about the delicious, juicy meat that had tickled his taste buds. Gently, he turned on his bedside lamp and looked at the time. It was 12 a.m. He had only spent 30 days in the test field, and most of the time was taken up by making by G bread. It was only 2 hours in real life. Mag got out of his bed, changed into his chef's suit, and put on his shoes. Then he turned off the light quietly and went to the kitchen downstairs. As he had expected, there was an oven in the corner of the cooking bench. Beside the oven were different spices and seasonings. The fridge, which had been stuffed with the ingredients for the Yangzhou fried rice, now had a separate section for storing streaky pork, just like in the test field. Mag put on the apron, took 2 pieces of streaky pork from the fridge, and cut them into chunks after rinsing them. Then he put them into a large jar and added various spices and seasonings. He had to marinate his meat for a long while this time, since he wasn't in the test field anymore. One night might not be long enough, but it should still be flavorful in the morning. He could make Amy an authentic Laji Rigiamo for breakfast. Mag's face lit up as he pictured Amy eating Rigiamo with her hands happily. Mag heard the egg rustle again when going upstairs. He looked over at it and smiled, wondering if it had been scared by Amy's words. He went to sleep and was woken up by the clock under his pillow at 5 a.m. He quickly turned it off. Then he changed into his clothes quietly. He washed up and went into the kitchen to stew the meat. The meat had to be cooked for 2 hours, which was why he had to wake up so early. Besides, Mag's skills in kneading dough might have improved, but it would still take him quite some time to knead 2 large chunks of dough thoroughly. He had practiced a lot of times in the test field and made a Laji Rugiamo so perfect that even he, who had been very picky in his previous life, found it very satisfying. Mag was very serious. The streaky pork was not quite ready after a night, but he would only let his regulars like Mabai try it in the morning, as well as Amy and himself at it novel Benedat. He wouldn't add it to his menu until everything was perfectly ready. Keeping the taste of dishes unchanged was one of Michelin restaurants' basic rules, and now it had become one of Mag's rules. He had to charge them, of course. He let them try the new dish first because it was one of the terms they had agreed upon when crowdfunding. Mag's face became serious when he put on his apron. He put the meat into the pot and strictly followed the best steps and time frame he had learned. After he added the spices and seasonings and turned down the burner, he started kneading dough. Kneading dough was truly a grueling task. Luckily for Mag, in the test field, he had worked out a way to knead dough faster and easier. Still, it took him an hour to knead 2 chunks of dough thoroughly, during which time he had to rest 2 times. Mag made the dough into bread, put it to the side, and didn't rush to bake. He took a look at the time. It was already 7:05. The meat still needed another 15 minutes before it was ready, and Amy was not up as she normally would, so Mag washed his hands, took off his apron, and went upstairs. Mag walked into the bedroom. Amy's eyes were closed, seemingly asleep. Yet her slightly moving eyelashes and her barely suppressed smile said otherwise. Well, it seems there is a little fairy who is still sleeping. How to wake her up? Mag said by the bedside, holding back a chuckle. He feigned being a little troubled. Amy opened her eyes slightly, took a quick peek at Mag, and closed them fast. Then, she slowly turned her head to one side. The little fairy said Father's kiss will wake her up. Mag pretended to be enlightened suddenly. I see. Then let's wake her up. He walked up to Amy, stooped down, and kissed her cheek. Amy opened her eyes immediately. The little fairy has woken up. She threw her arms around Mag's neck and stood up, giggling. Then she looked at him, delighted and full of anticipation. Father, is the bread, which is 100 times better than pancakes, ready? Mag nodded, smiling. Almost, but it tastes best fresh out of the oven. It will be ready after you change into your clothes and wash up. He felt really happy. Then, he took a look at Amy's black dress and said in his head, System, I want to buy a purple dress. Make it cute. I'll pay with cash. The system didn't say a word this time, and hundreds of little dresses, whose prices range from 1 gold coin to 500 gold coins, appeared in Mag's head. I'll take the one that is priced at 10 gold coins. Mag took a glance at the dress inlaid with many amethysts, which was sold at 500 gold coins, and didn't quite appreciate its style, so he bought the one with a golden and red Chinese redbud embroidered on the front, and there was a layer of tulle over the purple dress. Amy's face lit up, and she nodded quickly. Okay, Amy will get dressed then. After the system said the dress was ready, Mag walked to the wardrobe and then turned around with a smile. I have a new dress for you. See if you like it, he said. Really? Amy's little face was full of expectation. Mag opened the wardrobe and took out the little dress inside. Then he walked back to the bedside and held the dress in front of himself. Do you like it? Amy looked at the little dress, her eyes filled with pleasant surprise. It's so beautiful, and it's purple. I love it. She jumped on the bed delightedly. Then she stood on tips of her toes and kissed Mag on the cheek. Father, Amy loves you. I love you too. Come on, let's try it on. Mag was very happy as well. He helped Amy put on the new dress. The top had some beautiful patterns. The Chinese redbud was a real eye-popper, and there was a layer of purple tulle over the pleated skirt. Amy spun on the bed and lowered her head to look at the tulle dancing with her, full of surprise. She played with it for a while. Mag looked at his Amy, who now looked like an angel in the little dress, and smiled. Put on your shoes and go wash up. Father will make bread for you, he said as he stroked Amy's head. Amy nodded meekly. Okay. She climbed down the little stairs, put on her white shoes, and went to wash up. Mag took a peek at Amy, who was squeezing out toothpaste herself, and thought that she didn't need his help washing up anymore. Then he went downstairs. By then, the meat was just ready. Mag turned off the burner and started to put the bread in the preheated oven. He thought about it and put 16 bread loaves inside at intervals. The oven was full. After a while, Amy finished washing up and went downstairs. She stuck her head in through the kitchen door and looked inside. She had smelled the strong, appetizing aroma of the stewed meat. She took a deep sniff and asked, "It smells so good. Father, what is it?" "Its smell is very different from the smell of rainbow fried rice." Mag turned around and smiled. "Take a seat and you'll see in a little while," he answered, keeping her in suspense. Amy nodded. "I'll go check the ugly duckling." She walked to the counter and crouched down beside the egg. She leaned close and listened for a while. "Wake up now, ugly duckling. Come out today, or I'll roast you right now." Suddenly, the once quiet egg rustled, seeming to be a little uneasy. Amy nodded. "That's the spirit. Go and smash it." The rustle became faster, as if it were trying its best to avoid being roasted alive. Mag shook his head as he smiled in the kitchen. "My little girl is very cute, but I feel sorry for the little creature in the egg." He sliced open a loaf of by G bread, took a chunk of meat from the pot, chopped it into small pieces, and stuffed them all into the bread. Then he added some gravy into it. An authentic La G Ruggiamo was now ready. Mag walked out of the kitchen with a Ruggiamo in one hand and a plate in the other. "Amy, the bread, which is 100 times better than pancakes, is ready. Come here and try this La G Ruggiamo." "Coming." Amy stood up immediately and walked up to Mag. She climbed onto a chair and stared at the steaming Ruggiamo in Mag's hand. She thought she saw something in the white bread. The pleasant aroma made her swallow some saliva in spite of herself. She couldn't tear her eyes away from the bread. Mag put the plate in front of her first, and then he placed the Ruggiamo open side up and handed it to her. "Be careful. It's hot. Eat this side first. There is some gravy inside," Mag said as he smiled. Amy nodded. "Okay." She grabbed two edges with both hands, and her attention was totally captured by it. Her eyes brightened as she saw the beautiful little circles of burn marks on the white surface. "It's beautiful," added Novel Benedet. The bread was stuffed with stewed meat. The pleasant aroma that Amy had smelled was coming from the meat, and it made her hungrier. She brought the Ruggiamo to her mouth and took a bite. Crack! The crispy surface made a soft sound. All of a sudden, Amy's eyes lit up as she bit into the crunchy by G bread and tasty meat. This white bread is so soft and easy to chew, unlike the pancakes, which always make my teeth hurt, and it's so sweet and tastes a lot better than the pancakes. Amy thought, and the best part is the meat, which releases tasty juice as I chew on it. The sweet bread is made better by it. It's very delicious. Do you like it? Mag asked expectantly. Amy nodded vigorously. Yes, it's very good. It's 100 times better than pancakes. No, 1,000 times better. No, 10,000 times better than pancakes. She took another large bite and chewed merrily, her face full of happy smile. Mag nodded. That's great. There are more. He smiled and felt pride as he looked at Amy holding the Ruggiamo in her hands like a little squirrel, chewing happily and making soft little sounds all the while. He had spent 30 days in the test field without any sleep or rest. He had had to marinate the pork in the middle of the night, and he had woken up at 5 to make Ruggiamo. Nonetheless, it was all worth it, because he wanted to protect that smile. Mag watched Amy eat more than half, and then he went into the kitchen, took out a loaf of bread, and made a Ruggiamo for himself. He took a bite. The sweet, soft by G bread and the juicy meat mixed in his mouth. The meat was streaky pork, but it was not oily at all. The delicious gravy and the taste of the sweet by G bread tickled Mag's taste buds incessantly. He felt so good to stuff his mouth with meat, and the aftertaste of the meat remained in his mouth after he swallowed. Mag's eyes brightened. Perfect, as expected of me. It is my requirements that have led to this authentic La G Ruggiamo. He took another huge bite. This gourmet food was so different from Yangzhou fried rice, whose ingredients were chopped very finely. He really needed this for a change. Father, Amy wants one more, Amy said as she opened her hands after she finished her Ruggiamo, her face excited and anticipating. Mag nodded with a smile. All right, I'll make you another one. Then he put the half Rigiamo in his hand to the side. As he made the second Rigiamo for Amy, he asked in his mind, "System, what's the cost of ingredients for one Rigiamo? And can you make me some small craft paper bags so that customers may take their Rigiamos out when necessary? It would be very convenient. Add the name of the restaurant onto the bags and use Amy's picture as our trademark. Her back will be fine. And don't worry, I'll pay." This meat is 5-layered streaky pork with skin from under the ribs of the shadow boar, which only exist in Forest Trolls land. The system started to roll out the origins of those ingredients. It even tried to tell Mag where the salt came from. Mag interrupted. "Stop! I don't want to hear it. I know these are all good stuff. You just want to sell them at a higher price. Just give me a number." He had to open his restaurant in a moment and didn't have time to listen to the system's lengthy spiel. An ellipsis went across Mag's head. After a while, the system said, "The cost of one Rigiamo is 80 copper coins. If you want a large quantity of customized bags, I'll charge you 10 copper coins for a high-quality bag." Mag's mouth curled downwards. 10? You must be joking. I'll give you 5. The ingredients were worth the money, or worth more, but he wouldn't pay 10 copper coins for a bag. "What about 8? The system asked tentatively. 4. Mag replied calmly. "Okay, 5. Deal," the system said quickly this time. Then it continued, "Bags are being made right now and will be ready in 5 minutes. Right?" Mag raised an eyebrow. "I may not be a great haggler, but that doesn't mean I don't know how to haggle. The ingredients of one Rigiamo cost 85 copper coins, so maybe I'll sell it at 300 each. It's more acceptable than the Yangzhou fried rice." Naturally, he made a round number not to inconvenience Amy. One Rigiamo could earn him 215 copper coins, and he could make 16 loaves of bread at a time, so that came to a total of 3,440 copper coins. He was able to make at least 64 bread loaves out of those 2 large chunks of dough he had just kneaded. Even if he could only sell 64 Rigiamos in the morning, he would earn 13,760 copper coins. That was a much faster way to make money than the Yangzhou fried rice. Mag handed the Rigiamo he had just made to Amy, who was waiting longingly. Then he went back into the kitchen, switched around the bread in the oven, and regulated the temperature. It was almost 7:30, so these bread loaves would not go to waste, since his restaurant would open in a little while. Now he only needed to wait for his bags and check their quality. Outside, Luna was staring at the restaurant, wondering. She was wearing a light gray linen cotton dress and a white silky scarf, on which a golden lily flower was embroidered, covering her shoulders. She had long, straight black hair. All this made her look intelligent as well as beautiful. Maybe I've remembered wrong? Doesn't Amy live here? Luna looked around and got a little confused. This was the last house on the Aiden Square, and she still remembered the signboard hanging outside the forge. However, as far as she could remember, here should stand a rickety 2-storied wooden house like the one she had seen when she'd last walked Amy home 6 or 7 days ago. Instead, before her eyes was a grand restaurant with a wall of crystal glass, perfectly aligned tables and chairs, and crystal chandeliers. When did such a fancy restaurant open in Chaos City? She wondered. Mamie Restaurant. Could it be? Luna muttered. Then her eyes brightened, and she walked towards the restaurant immediately. "The first batch of bags is ready. You will be charged automatically whenever you use them," the system said. Then, an iron box appeared beside the oven. It was 15 centimeters long, 15 centimeters wide, and 20 centimeters deep. And it was a neat pile of brownish-yellow craft bags. Mag picked one up. It was coarse and had the words Lagi Rigiamo in the middle of its front. He turned it over and saw 2 golden words, Mamie Restaurant, in an arc, below which was the back of a little girl sketched in black. The drawing was not very detailed, but one could tell at a glance that it was Amy, because the little girl was in a little dress with her short legs and cute pointy ears. Mag nodded contentedly. System, the little ears are really not bad. He turned his head and took a look at Amy, who was eating happily at her table. He wanted to tell her that her pointy ears would not bring shame on her, but envy and admiration. The lovely back on the bag was just a start. He would fight the unreasonable prejudice with the power of the chowhounds in this world. He wanted to give half-elves hope because they had done nothing wrong. He believed that sooner or later, This back would be remembered by many people. Suddenly, Mag felt quite restless and hot. While the Yangzhou fried rice could soothe the muscles like a warm current, this Rujiamo was like a super spicy chili in his blood. He felt as if his blood was boiling inside him. System, did you drug me out of spite? Mag asked as he felt that unknown restlessness, which made him picture something filthy in his mind. This is slander. All of the ingredients are of great quality. They're all organic products. Nothing filthy has been added into them, the system applied solemnly. Mag didn't believe it. What's happening to me then? Why is this Rujiamo making me so excited? This restlessness was not very uncomfortable. In fact, he felt rather comfortable after he got used to the faster blood flow, but he was still a little worried about this sudden change. You didn't let me finish before, so it's not my fault that you don't know the inherent properties of the ingredients, answered the system. Mag lifted an eyebrow. He hadn't expected that the system would retort like that. He thought for a minute and said, the pork is used in the Yangzhou fried rice as well, so it should be good. Don't tell me the flour is not normal flour. Do you grow wheat in a weird place? The wheat comes from the Frenzy Isle in the depths of the Ghost Islands, which are possessed by demons. In an area where no demons roam, system cultivates a piece of land. The frenzy fog dissipates during the day, so the sunlight there is present for as long as 12 hours every day. At night, the wheat absorbs the frenzy element. That's the reason why the flour will excite the blood to a certain extent. Humans can use it to make their blood flow more smoothly. The more violent the species, the stronger the effect. There is no negative effect, though. Mag nodded. I see. Then he felt a little embarrassed when he thought about it. If some girl asked me if I had drugged her after she ate the Rujiamo, how would I reply? Father, I feel a little hot again. Amy's voice came from outside at Novel Benedet. Mag walked towards her daughter quickly. Since the system said that there was no negative effect, he wasn't quite worried. He thought for a while as he looked at his Amy, whose cheeks flushed red after 2 Rujiamos. Amy tried to make a fireball. When she felt uncomfortable after eating the Yangzhou fried rice, the fireball had done the trick. He didn't know the effect of the frenzy element, though. Amy nodded obediently. Yes, father. She raised her arm and opened her hand slowly. Suddenly, a bluish-violet fire appeared above her hand. It was more than a meter tall and was dancing violently, seemingly very unstable. Mag fell back unconsciously. The flame was a little violent, bigger, darker, and purpler. After she released the flame, Amy's red face became normal slowly. The air surrounding them got hot instantly. The fire was more terrifying than before. Come back, fire, Amy said solemnly as she looked at the seemingly uncontrollable fire. She coiled her hand slowly, and the restless flame was gradually squeezed up as if by an invisible hand, and turned into a dark bluish-violet fireball in her little hand. She may be a genius, Mag thought proudly as he looked at Amy play with the fireball. She closed her hand, and the fireball vanished. It seemed the frenzy element could improve the power of Amy's fireball, but it remained to be tested. After he made sure that there was nothing wrong with Amy, Mag tied her hair into 2 pigtails. She loved this hairstyle, and maybe she wouldn't change it in a long while. Mag put the comb back in the drawer and took a look at the time. It was just 7:30. He walked towards the door. Mag opened the lock, pulled the door open, and froze for a moment when he saw a girl standing outside. She was around 20, of medium height, a little slim, and in a light gray linen cotton dress. Around her shoulders was a white silky scarf with a golden lily flower embroidered on it. Her black hair was long and straight, her face was pretty, and her dark eyes were extra bright. She looked artistic and intelligent. It seemed like she was about to knock at the door when it suddenly opened. Her hand stopped halfway. She looked at Mag and took her hand back, a little embarrassed. Good morning. Does Amy live here? She asked gently. Luna was also taken aback when she saw Mag. Who is he? He is clean and neatly dressed. What is he doing here? Did he squat in Amy's house and open this restaurant? Could it be? Some troubling thoughts went across her mind. Sure, Chaos City was run by the Grey Temple, but still many evil things were happening quietly in the dark, which even the Grey Temple could do nothing about. Teacher Luna, what brings you here? Amy said before Mag could speak when she heard Luna's voice. She ran towards them, slid under his arm, and looked at Luna, her eyes full of pleasant surprise. Then she held Mag's apron and said proudly, "This is my father. He is really good at cooking." Luna was much relieved when she heard Amy's voice, but as she dropped her gaze to look at Amy, she was taken aback. Amy was wearing a beautiful purple dress today, with an exquisite golden red embroidered flower on the front. She had two skillfully braided cute little braids, and her clean face was full of joy. Amy used to wear old linen clothes and crouch in a corner all by herself with messy hair, which was a really sorrowful sight. However, now she had become a lovely princess. Luna was both surprised and relieved. What surprised her even more was that the man was Amy's father, who had been badly ill as far as she could remember. Once, when she saw them from afar, he was wearing shabby old cotton clothes. He hobbled, hunched up, his face half covered by his whiskers, looking like a very old man. Luna didn't know what dramatic changes had fallen on him in such a short time, but still she nodded at him with courtesy. "Nice to meet you. I'm Luna Field, who taught Amy math before. I haven't seen her at school for a few days, so I wanted to check on her before I go to work," she said with a smile. Mag nodded, smiling. "Nice to meet you, Miss Field. I'm Mag, Amy's father. Thank you for all the things you've done for Amy." He could sense certain vigilance and distance the smiling girl maintained, and he liked it too at Novel Benedette. She was the teacher Amy had often mentioned, and treated Amy well in this chaos city. She taught her math, let her inside the classroom, brushed her hair, and often gave her something to eat, which would be taken home by her and shared with her father. It could be said that she had warmed Amy and protected her last bit of innocence when he was at his lowest point in life. Doubtlessly, Mag would always remember that. His predecessor might have not talked to Luna directly, but he had done his research on people who would come into contact with Amy. It was not very detailed, but still detailed enough to know whether they were dangerous or not. Luna should be of noble birth in the Roth Empire. Somehow, she ended up in Chaos City and became a math teacher in the Chaos School under the Grey Temple. "You're welcome. I'm glad to see Amy is okay." Luna smiled and stroked Amy's hair. Her vigilance was totally gone when she looked at Amy, her smile sincere and gentle, like a mother's. "Teacher Luna, don't worry. I'm all right." Father conjured up a big house and made Amy delicious rainbow fried rice and ruggiamo, said Amy with a smile. Then she held out her little hand and grabbed one of Luna's fingers. "Father, will you make a plate of rainbow fried rice for Teacher Luna, please?" she begged as she looked back at her father. Mag nodded, smiling. "Sure." Then he looked at Luna and said, "Miss Field, please come in if you haven't had your breakfast." Well, Luna hesitated. It was true that she hadn't eaten her breakfast, but she only came here to see Amy, and it would take her more than 20 minutes to get to the Chaos School. She might be late for class if she ate here. "Teacher Luna, please come in. Father's rainbow fried rice is really great," Amy begged as she swung Luna's finger. Luna took a look at Amy's expectant face and saw that she really wanted her to try this fried rice very badly. Her heart softened, and she nodded with a smile. "Okay, then I'll have a plate of this rainbow fried rice. Please come in." Mag held the door open for her and turned sideways to let her pass. Luna nodded gently. "Thank you." She took Amy's hand and walked in the restaurant, feeling good and comfortable because Mag had held the door open for her, and because he had a kind smile and kept his distance. She hadn't seen a man so gentlemanly for a long time since she came here. Mag took a look at Mabai's forge as he turned over his sign, feeling a little surprised that he hadn't come for his breakfast today. Then he went back inside. Luna took a look around as she held Amy's hand. The restaurant was decorated with brown and gray, which made her very comfortable. The paintings on the wall were of surprisingly high taste. The brown log tables and chairs were evenly placed. It wasn't crowded at all. The beautiful chandeliers and bright restaurant were grand, but made her feel at ease. She had never been to a restaurant like this before. Such a comfortable restaurant couldn't be found even in the whole capital city. She took her seat by the window. "I'd like a plate of rainbow fried rice that Amy recommended." "Thank you," she said as she looked up at Mag. Mag nodded with a smile. "Okay, please wait a second." He took a look at Amy, who had already sat opposite Luna, and then walked towards the kitchen, smiling. "Teacher Luna, It's really very good, she said as she looked at her teacher, her chin in her hands and her face very serious. Luna nodded, smiling. I believe you, Amy. She saw the menu at her elbow and picked it up out of curiosity. The bison hide cover was soft to the touch. She opened it and froze for an instant. There was only one dish on such a big menu. Yangzhou fried rice? Luna read in a low voice. It should be the rainbow fried rice that Amy has talked about. But what is Yangzhou? Is it some kind of ingredient? Or some place? Then she saw the price and frowned. 600 copper coins each? She didn't know what this Yangzhou fried rice or rainbow fried rice was, but it sure cost a lot of money, an amount that could last a normal family for days. She only got 30 gold coins every month teaching in the chaos school. She might receive hundreds more from home each month, but normally she didn't spend that money on herself. There were lots of children in this city who didn't even have enough to eat. It was truly extravagant for her to spend 600 copper coins on a single meal. However, looking at Amy's expectant face and Mag's focused back, she closed the menu with a smile. Seeing that there is only one dish on the menu, and with such a high price, their restaurant should have opened very recently. Maybe I'm the first customer. They're trying to start a new life, so I'll have a plate and start them off, Luna thought. Of course, this was an extravagance that she could only afford once in a while. After a little while, Mag walked out, holding a plate of Yangzhou fried rice. He placed it gently in front of Luna. Your rainbow fried rice, also known as Yangzhou fried rice. Please enjoy. Luna had only intended to be supportive, but on seeing the Yangzhou fried rice, her eyes lit up immediately. The first thought that flew across Luna's mind was, "It's so beautiful." Then, immediately, she became curious. What cutting skills would it take to dice every ingredient into the size of the rice grain? And by the look of it, did he boil all the ingredients together? But how did eggs end up coating the rice? The agreeable aroma of eggs and different ingredients tickled her nose, and she swallowed in spite of herself. Teacher Luna, please try it, Amy said softly as she looked at her, full of expectation. Mag was watching her too as he stood there quietly, hoping she would enjoy it. Okay, I'll try it, Luna said with a smile. She gracefully picked up the spoon, took a half spoon of fried rice, and brought it to her mouth. Then she got lost in this special gourmet food right away. It didn't taste mushy like the dishes boiled in water. She didn't know how he had cooked it. Every ingredient had maintained its own properties. Crisp, soft, tender, and tasty. Each taste was so distinctive, and yet they blended together perfectly. She had never tried anything like this before and never thought that food could be this good. It was like she had entered a whole new world. After she swallowed, the sweet fried rice became a warm current, soothing her every muscle. All the pores in her skin seemed to have opened up. It was comfortably intoxicating. It's so good. That was all she could think of as she looked at the fried rice before her. She had never eaten anything as good as this even in the capital. She felt so satisfied with just one bite. She couldn't refrain from taking another bite, savoring the tree mushrooms and bamboo shoots from montane forests, the shrimps from the sea, the tender eggs, and the tasty rice. The food was really divine. While her sense and deep-rooted manners were telling her to be graceful, her hands seemed to be out of control before such delicious food. One spoon after another, she brought the flavorful fried rice to her mouth. The spoon clattered again and again on the plate. Her intentions of being supportive were completely gone, and they made her want to laugh at herself. They needn't worry that no one would come with such delicious rainbow fried rice. As for the price, it was still too high for her, but it was really worth it because of the fine environment and good food. Besides, she was here in this city alone. It wouldn't hurt to treat herself to a decent meal occasionally. Perhaps good food like that was the best consolation anyone could get in a foreign land at a novel Benet. Mag gave a hearty smile as he watched Luna, who was lost in her fried rice. Perhaps it was every cook's dream to see customers enjoy the food they made. Amy was happy too, as if she had done something amazing. Ting! The spoon clattered on the plate. Luna took a look at the empty plate before her and realized she had finished everything. The plate was so clean that she could even see her reflection in it. She was a little embarrassed as well as surprised. She'd never thought that she would eat every last grain of rice on the plate. What surprised her even more was that after a plate of fried rice, she felt like she had taken a comfortable, hot bath. Teacher Luna, do you like it? Amy asked as Luna took out a handkerchief from her pocket and wiped the corners of her mouth. Luna nodded. Yes, it's delicious. Your father's rainbow fried rice is really good. Then she raised her head and looked at Mag with a smile. The food you've made is very special and tasty. Mag nodded, smiling. Thank you. He could feel that she had let her guard down a lot. Teacher Luna, besides the rainbow fried rice, Father's Rigiamo is very good too. Please try one, Amy recommended as she looked at her teacher. Luna took a look at the time. It was already 8:10. Although she felt a little like trying the food Amy had recommended, she smiled and shook her head. Thank you, but I have to go to work now. I'll try it next time. Then she took out a beautiful purse from her pocket. Oh, Amy was a little disappointed. She had to wait till the next time her teacher came. Miss Field, this meal is my small gift to you. It's on the house, Mag said as he looked at Luna. I suggest you never do that, the system said sternly. Never let anyone buy on credit. Have some style and principles. Do you have a girlfriend? Mag asked calmly. The system didn't answer right away. After a while, it said, I don't need a girlfriend. You right? You're so stingy. You don't even have a friend, let alone a girlfriend, Mag sneered. Then he glanced at Luna. She is so good to Amy. If I treat her to a meal, what of it? You don't even have a girlfriend. Just mind your own vegetable business. An ellipsis went across Mag's head. Luna shook her head. Thank you, but I think I'll pay for my own food. It's only natural, she said solemnly. Then she pulled 6 gold coins from her purse and put them on the table. She gave Amy's head a stroke and was ready to leave. Mag didn't insist. He knew that some people were like that. Please wait for a second, Mag said as he strode towards the kitchen. Yes. Luna looked at Mag's back, wondering. She paused there and didn't rush to leave. A minute later, Mag came out with a craft bag. He handed it to Luna with a smile. This is our new dish. It's not on our menu officially, though. If you don't mind, please try it and tell me if there is anything different I should do. Luna hesitated for a while. Then she took the bag after she took a look at Mag's smile and Amy's expectant face. Thank you, she said. She could feel that they sincerely wanted her to take it, so she didn't want to turn down their kindness. The strong aroma of meat went out of the bag, in which she found a white bread. It was sliced open and stuffed with meat. This should be the Rigiamo that Amy talked about. She was almost full after a plate of fried rice, but now she felt hungry again all of a sudden. She looked at Amy and smiled. I'll take my leave then. You can come to school if you want, Amy. You can come to all of my classes. Amy nodded. Thank you, Teacher Luna. But I'm learning the 9x9 table from my father recently. 9x9 table? Luna wondered. She didn't know what Mag had taught Amy, but she didn't have time to ask him today. So she nodded at Mag, turned around, and walked towards the door. That was when Mabai opened the door. Looks like I'm not the first customer here today, Mag. He turned sideways to let Luna pass and dropped his gaze to the bag in her hand. As he smelled the strong meat aroma, his eyes lit up. The new dish has come out today? Mag nodded at Mabai and smiled. Yes, you've bought the receipts, so you can try the new dish in advance today, right? As much as I love the Yangzhou fried rice, I don't want to miss the new dish. I'll have a plate of Yangzhou fried rice and a new dish. Mabai took his usual seat and looked at Amy with a smile. Good morning, little owner. Mag nodded. Okay, please wait a minute. Then he turned around and walked into the kitchen. Amy nodded. Good morning, dwarf Grandpa Mabai. She answered without turning back as she watched Luna leave from the window. Little lady, I have a small request. Could you please skip the word dwarf? Mabai tried to sound soft and gentle. As Luna was out of sight, Amy turned around and nodded at Mabai. Sure, dwarf Grandpa Mabai. Mabai was taken by surprise. However, as he looked at Amy's innocent face, he didn't think for 1 second that she had done it on purpose. What could he do? He had no choice but to let it go and give up. Luna walked quickly towards the exit of the Aiden Square with the Rigiamo in her hand. The Chaos School was not far from the square, but since the square was so huge, it would still take her more than 10 minutes to get there even if she took the straight way right across the square rather than the Crescent Street. The aroma of meat tickled her nose, and Luna didn't know how many times she had swallowed her saliva. Normally, she wasn't quite fond of meat and mostly lived on vegetables, but now she wanted to take a bite of this Rigiamo very badly. Take a bite to try it? At last, Luna couldn't help but stop next to a big tree. She looked around and made sure that no one was around. Then, she held the bag in two hands, pushed her Rigiamo a little upwards, and took a bite in the middle. Outside was soft, sweet by G bread, while inside was soft stewed meat. As she bit into it, tasty juice was released. All her taste buds were cheering and dancing, making her close her eyes despite herself. After she swallowed, it became a little violent and ran quickly in her blood. She couldn't refrain from letting out a moan of comfort. Luna opened her eyes instantly and covered her mouth, blushing. Was that me? How could I have let out such an embarrassing sound? She glanced about carefully and felt much better when she had found no one around. Then, she dropped her gaze to the Rigiamo in her hand and didn't know what to do. It was so delicious. She didn't know the ingredients, though. Her blood became restless after she swallowed. That was why she had made that strange sound. Now she felt lucky that she didn't eat it in the restaurant. If she had let out that sound before Mag, that would have been so awkward. Should I eat it? Luna couldn't make up her mind. The restlessness in her blood was slowly changing into a rhythmic tide. She didn't feel uncomfortable anymore. Between that and the relaxing feeling the Yangzhou fried rice had brought her, her energy was being woken up. Her face was still red and burning. If this feeling kept building after I ate it, my face might be red the whole morning. The smell was so appetizing, and all she could think about was that incredible feeling she had just experienced. In spite of herself, she brought it to her mouth slowly and took another bite. Well, I don't care anymore. It tastes so good. Let it flush red. It seems very hot today. Anyway, she thought. She was totally lost in its pleasant taste as she ate it. It's so good, Luna said sincerely as she looked at the empty bag in her hand and licked her oily lips. She had tried two most delicious dishes today, and they were cooked by the same man. It was truly an interesting morning. The restlessness was dying down slowly, and so was the red in her face. It was like she had exercised her whole body thoroughly. She was in her best shape and didn't feel sleepy at all, though she had eaten nothing more than her breakfast. It's so magical. Could he be a powerful magic caster? He must be a genius to make his food have this power, Luna thought as she felt the change in her body. When she was about to throw the bag away, she caught sight of the little girl on the back of the bag. She stood there, frozen. Of course, she had recognized that it was Amy's bag. In Chaos City, it was not uncommon for merchandise to have a special trademark. Businessmen would go to great lengths to make customers remember their products. Nonetheless, no one would have used the back of a half-elf girl as a trademark because certain trouble might be brought about. There were people in every species who would show prejudice towards the offspring of two different species. Somehow, they thought they were better than them. Mags using Amy's back as his trademark would probably present him with many problems. Hybrids were often bullied in Chaos City. He may be a good father, but I'll warn him next time. It's a good picture, though, Luna murmured to herself. She looked inside the bag and didn't find any grease. Then, she folded it and put it in her pocket after she looked at Amy's picture. Luna raised her arm and took a glance at her mechanical watch. God, I'm definitely late today. Her face changed immediately. She pulled her dress up and trotted towards her school, not caring if she was not graceful. You're a little late today, Mag said as he put the fried rice in front of Mabai. I overslept because I was trying to figure something out last night. Your fried rice will wake me up. Mabai picked up the spoon and brought some fried rice to his mouth. After he chewed a few times, he looked at Mag and asked, Mag, can I ask you a question? If something could release a large amount of energy in an instant, how would you turn this energy into a long-range weapon? Gun? This word came into Mag's mind immediately. He was a little surprised as he looked at Mabai, who was frowning. This world favored magic and bloodlines, and guns didn't come into existence yet. In Mag's memory, even fireworks were only seen in the royal palace in the capital during festivals, meaning best wishes to the people. The alchemists treasured their methods and recipes so much that they were not going around among common people, so Mag had no idea what Mabai was referring to. What kind of energy? He asked curiously. Mabai looked at Mag and hesitated for a moment. Then he put down his spoon and signed with his hands. Like a fireball explodes after being contracted to a small one. Mag lifted an eyebrow. Now it's more like explosive. He didn't know what that energy was exactly, but based on Mabai's description, guns were definitely the best option to turn this energy into a long-range weapon. The barrel could propel the bullet to a high speed as long as it was able to confine that sudden burst of energy. Thus, it would become a long-range weapon. Now Mag had a general idea. After all, he had lived many years in a world which was far more advanced in technology. Besides, he had practiced a lot on shooting ranges in America, so he was quite familiar with guns. He was so quick at disassembling guns that he could even match his father's bodyguards. However, he had his worries. If guns came into being, their horrific power would definitely change this continent, which had been enjoying peace for more than 100 years after a war that lasted a millennium, from a world of magic and cold steel into a world of guns and explosives. Humans had the largest numbers. If they acquired the skills to make guns, their strength would absolutely peak, though they had managed to earn their little corner by magic casters and knights. The balance on the Norland Continent might be shattered again, and a new war among species would sweep the whole continent. Now that he had Amy, Mag wanted nothing more than world peace. The guns were like Pandora's box. Once it was opened, there was no way to box the evils back in. Mag didn't want to see guns in this world. Although he had no intention to help Mabai, Mag still asked out of curiosity, "What do you want to do with it?" "Kill dragons," Mabai answered seriously as he looked into his eyes. "What have dragons done to you? Why do you have to kill them?" "Aren't dragon babies cute?" asked Amy, puzzled. "That young man who loves smiling wants to kill dragons. Dwarf grandpa wants to kill dragons. So, what are dragons anyway? Why does everybody want to kill them?" Mag was a little surprised too. Connie had everything he needed to kill a dragon. His sword and armor, and not his black donkey, so it made sense when he said he wanted to kill dragons. However, it felt strange when the same words came out of Mabai's mouth. Mag would have laughed if it hadn't been for the other party's serious look. "You must think I'm joking. It's all right. I agree with you, actually." Mabai laughed. When Mag really believed that it was merely a joke, Mabai coiled his hand into a fist slowly. "But maybe that's the only reason why I'm still alive and waving that hammer. When I was 30, a red dragon ate my father, and it's still wandering around the continent, killing people. I think I will not die in peace until I kill it with my own hands. But I don't have the skills that Mag Alex has, so I have to find my own way. Now I have to deal with this major problem, or everything I've been doing will be in vain." Mag's feelings became mixed as he watched Mabai's clenched fist and throbbing vein on his forehead. Connie Nicholas wanted to kill dragons to prove himself and to win the title of Dragon Slayer. Mabai wanted to avenge his father. They both wanted the same thing, but their motivation was entirely different. "Sorry for your loss," Mag said apologetically after a while. He wouldn't see this continent burn to help Mabai. However, Mabai's tragedy had given him a warning. This world was not nearly as safe and peaceful as it seemed. People here might be governed by the Grey Temple, but how would he and Amy protect themselves if dragons came? "System, do you sell air defense missiles?" "Preferably with the automatic tracking system," Mag asked in his mind. "Let me be clear. I do not sell anything that will affect this world's order, including air defense missiles." It was the first time that the system had used such a solemn tone. "Rest assured, I love world peace too. I just want some protection. I won't use it unless I absolutely have to," Mag said calmly. "What if some bad dragon went crazy and attacked this restaurant? I would be killed like Mabai's father." "I'm no good to you dead," he coaxed. The system was silent, seemingly deliberating. "You can't afford it," it said with contempt after a while. Mag lifted an eyebrow. "That's a good comeback. I'm despised by the system, yet that meant it would sell for a good price. I'll set up several missiles on the rooftop when I have a lot of money. If some dragon wants to do anything stupid, I'll use the Patriots to teach him a lesson. If that red dragon, which Mabai wants to kill, happens to come to Chaos City, maybe I'll sell him one. Looks like he has been up to something big these years. He must have saved a lot of money. After all, one weapon can fetch him 1,000 gold coins. That's one of the fast ways to make money. It's all right. I haven't mentioned this to others for many years, Mabai said as he shook his head. I just wanted to get this off my chest because it's so comfortable here. Then his smile returned, and he picked up the spoon again and got back to eating his fried rice. Mag took a look at Mabai and turned to walk towards the kitchen. He wouldn't change his mind and decision for now. In this world, guns were not a necessity for killing dragons. Mag Alex had killed several with his griffin and his heavy sword. Mag, is the new dish ready today? Habing said when Mag was just at the kitchen door. He had tried to keep his voice down, but it was still very loud. Loud voice, be good, and don't talk so loud, Amy said solemnly as she looked up at Habing. Habing nodded immediately. Yes, sorry. He was so excited that he almost forgot the rules. He looked at Amy, a little afraid. Mag nodded, smiling. Yes, since you've bought the receipts, you can try it in advance today. It's called Laji Rigiamo, he said as he turned back and looked at Haga and Habing. Laji Rigiamo? Habing was a little puzzled, just like he had felt when he'd first heard the words Yangzhou fried rice. However, the meat one and its name really intrigued him. 2 for me, Mag, he said, a little thrilled. 2 for me, Haga echoed. He too was pretty expectant because they both loved meat the most. To be sure, Yangzhou fried rice was good, but it only had a little meat in it. Sure. Please wait a second, Mag answered, and went into the kitchen. Mabai, you're always the first, Habing said with a smile as he sat opposite Mabai. Mabai shook his head. Not today. A human girl came earlier than me. Good morning, little lady, Haga said with a smile as he looked at Amy. Amy nodded. Morning, big orc. Then she looked at his fangs and asked curiously, will these get in the way when you eat? Haga shook his head, smiling. I'm used to it. Mine are very even. Amy revealed her small, even teeth to him, showing off. Haga smiled, and then he took a seat beside Habing and waited for his meal. After a little while, Mag came out with 3 Rigiamos and served 1 to each of them. Smells good. This is the Laji Rigiamo you talked about? It has a lot of meat in it. The strong meat aroma made him swallow as he held it in his hand. Inside the bag, the white by G bread was stuffed with lean meat and fat, which was seductively greasy. It sure is quite different than the Yangzhou fried rice. I've never smelled such a special meat aroma. It's most appetizing, Mabai complimented as he looked at the Rigiamo in his hand. Then he finished the last bite of Yangzhou fried rice on his plate. I'll try it now. Habing tore the bag open and ate almost half of it in one gulp. The streaky pork which had absorbed the tasty gravy was wrapped by the sweet by G bread. As he chewed on it, the tasty gravy seeped into the bread and the soft yet chewy meat melted in his mouth. It was so delicious that every taste bud was dancing as their craving for meat had been greatly satisfied. Habing found it more surprising after he swallowed. The Rigiamo was like a fireball falling down his throat, just as if he had taken a draught of wine. His blood became hot, as if something inside him had been awakened. Roars! Habing couldn't help but tilt his head back and let out a roar which even made the table shake. It was loud. Yes. Amy lifted an eyebrow and seemed a little irritated. She held out her hand. However, Mag softly held her little hand before she could unleash her fireball. He smiled and shook his head, signaling her not to do that. He looked at Habing curiously, knowing that he didn't do it on purpose. The system had said that the Rigiamo had a stronger effect on a wilder species. Even he felt restless after eating it, and orcs were much wilder than humans, so it wasn't very strange that Habing had reacted violently. He didn't know the effect it would cause, though. Habing's roars startled Mabai and Haga, but they had tried the Yangzhou fried rice and knew it could relieve fatigue, so they were not worried that this Rigiamo would be bad for them. Instead, they were looking at Habing with expectation, wondering what special effect it would cause. After a roar, the hot-blooded Habing looked toward Amy first and was relieved when he saw no fireball. Sorry about that. I couldn't help it, he said apologetically. Mag, this Rigiamo is really good, but it made me... I feel my blood is pumping, and my strength seems to have been increased. Mag nodded, smiling. Yes. As Mabai and Haga heard this, their eyes lit up. They took a bite of their Rigiamos at the same time, immediately. Both were lost in its taste right away. After they swallowed, the hot blood also made them roar despite themselves. While Mabai's sound was much lower, Hage's was louder, like Haebang's. Hage scratched his head embarrassedly. So, sorry, he said to Amy. Amy nodded. It's your first time, big orc. I won't mind, but it's not the first time for someone. Sorry. It won't happen again, Haebang said as he nodded. Then he took another huge bite, savoring the delicious meat and by bread. What an intoxicating taste. He swallowed, and this time he had learned. He covered his mouth quickly and made no sound. Haga copied his brother and covered his mouth each time he swallowed, restraining his roar and at the same time savoring the good food. It's very good. Give me 5 more, Mag. Haebang said to Mag as he put the bag on the table. He was a little excited, his face still red. Now that he had finished it, he was fully aware of the effect of this Rugiamo. Not only could it excite the body, but it was even able to stimulate the blood and increase the strength. Me too. 5. Haga held up 5 fingers to Mag. Mabai shook his head. It's pretty good, but I feel my body can't stand this excitement anymore. This one should be enough for me. The blood was rushing inside his body. Although he got used to it quickly and even felt a little comfortable, he liked Yangzhou fried rice better as it would soothe his muscles. Today we only serve samples, so each person can only get up to 3 samples for each meal, Mag said as he shook his head, smiling. It might need to be improved, so we'll start to sell it tomorrow officially. There'll be no limit, but since the ingredients prepared are limited, first come, first served. He didn't want to make too many Rugiamos today because they were only samples, and the meat wasn't quite ready. It was only a warm-up for tomorrow, so he didn't care about how many he could sell, but rather how many people he could sell them to. It's so good. 3 is not enough. Haebang was a little anxious. Mag, how much is it? I'll double the price and buy another 2. What do you say? He asked. Mag took a look at the expectant Haebang and Haga and became a little hesitant. Haebang offering to pay double didn't interest him, though. He just didn't want to decrease the quantity and increase his price like a scalper. They had really helped him a lot with the crowdfunding yesterday. Otherwise, Amy wouldn't have been able to eat such a delicious Rugiamo today. He thought for a moment and nodded with a smile. The new dish came out earlier because of your money, so you can eat as many as you want a day and at the same price. Haebang's face lit up right away. You're a hell of a guy, Mag. Then I'll have 5 more, and so will my brother, he said. Mag is truly not one of those devious human businessmen. Mag nodded. Okay, please wait a moment. Then he turned around and walked towards the kitchen. Little owner, may I have the check, please? Mabai's fatigue from staying up late last night was completely gone after a plate of Yangzhou fried rice and a Laji Rugiamo. He felt very refreshed and comfortable after the Rugiamo because his blood was now running at a higher speed. When he put the craft bag on the table, he noticed Amy's back on the bag. He was a little surprised, but found it quite understandable. He might have known Mag for only a few days, but he could tell that he was a good father, and that he loved Amy with all his heart. Amy was a motherless half-elf, but she wasn't very timid, which was quite uncommon for a hybrid. Actually, her doting father had made her brave as well as cute. But this back may give rise to troubles, Mabai thought. No matter. Amy's fireball could terrify even Haebang, and Mag is definitely no ordinary man. He looks quite smart. Amy walked over to Mabai. 9 gold coins, please, she said after calculating in her head. Right? Take it out of my crowdfunding money, Mabai said with a smile as he rose to his feet. Amy nodded. Okay. Then she walked to the kitchen door and looked at her father, who was making a Rugiamo. Father, dwarf Grandpa Mabai, said he'll use that crowd money to pay. Is it okay? Sure. That's the agreement. Mag smiled and walked out, holding 2 plates. Each had 2 Rugiamos on it. The bag was more of a hindrance for Haebang and Haga, so it was better to serve them on the plate directly. Of course, more importantly, it would save him some money this way. He could wash the dishes in the dishwasher. Bye, Mag, Mabai said with a smile and left. Mag, your food is very delicious. I don't want to go back, Haebang said to Mag as he picked up a Rugiamo and took a large bite. He felt the blood rushing inside his body. It was much better than drinking wine. He was enjoying his food, and his strength was increasing at the same time. There was nothing better than that. Mag smiled. It really felt good to be praised. Hagen nodded in agreement. His common language wasn't very good, so he gave Mag a thumbs up. After a little while, Connie arrived with his black donkey, accompanied by clear hoofbeats. Looks like I can eat the new dish today. Mag, give me one please, Connie said to Mag with a smile after he took a look at the orc brothers who were wolfing down white bread. The tantalizing meat aroma had permeated the entire restaurant. Mag nodded, smiling. Sure. Please wait a moment. Then he walked back into the kitchen. Connie always kept his bright smile no matter whom he was talking to. Good morning, little owner, Connie said to Amy with a smile as he took his usual seat. Amy nodded. Good morning, Smiley Knight. He was smiling all the time like he was wearing a smiling mask. Habing turned back and looked at Connie. This Laji Ruggiamo is very good. Its taste is simply unbelievable, he said as he chewed. I highly recommend it. I'll try it then. Connie became more expectant. After a while, Mag came out, holding a craft bag. He passed it to Connie with a smile. Your Laji Ruggiamo. Connie took it. The little girl's back caught his attention immediately. He smiled and looked up at Mag. Isn't this the little owner? Amy was leaning on the counter, a little bored, but when she heard what Connie had just said, her face lit up instantly. Really? She asked. Then she climbed down the chair, walked up to the table, and stood on the tips of her toes. She saw the back of a little girl. Father, is that Amy? Did you draw that? She asked, surprised. Mag nodded, smiling. Yes, it's Amy. Nothing could represent our restaurant better than Amy, he answered as he stroked her head. You're amazing, Father. It's really good, Amy said happily as she rubbed her head against his hand. The other three people gave a kind smile as they saw this. It was so emotional that it made them envious. The back of this cute half-elf girl would surely become well-known in Chaos City. Connie took a look at his Ruggiamo. The white bread was sliced open and stuffed with lean meat and fat. The name Ruggiamo one was quite accurate. He had never seen any bread like this before. It was so unique. He opened his mouth and took a bite. The soft and chewy by G bread and the soft and tender meat mixed together with the gravy. The splendid taste spread in his mouth, making him feel like he had risen to the next level. After he swallowed, Connie also let out a deep breath despite himself. Then he realized it and smiled at the others, a little embarrassed. To his surprise, his blood seemed to go wild shortly afterwards, and it was even wilder than after he practiced his sword for an hour in the morning. It was magical, like the Yangzhou fried rice, and regulated his body to the best shape. I'd like 2 more, Connie said as he looked up at Mag. The one in his hand was not finished. Mag nodded. Okay, please wait a second. He turned and went into the kitchen, feeling great. This Ruggiamo's effect is a little violent, but it seems quite acceptable for now. Besides, it's fast to make and easy to take out. People can eat it anywhere. Maybe it could make the restaurant more popular. After they finished their meal, Haga turned his head and looked at Amy with a smile. Little owner of the check. Us too, he said as he held up 2 fingers. Habang's eyes brightened instantly. Brother, you're going to pay for me? He looked at Haga, surprised and happy. Finally, he has become that old, kind big brother again. Haga nodded, smiling. Amy walked over to him. You've had 12 Ruggiamos, so that is 36 gold coins. Big orc, are you going to pay for the meal today? Haga nodded with a smile. Ta, take it out of that money. Amy nodded. Oh. She turned around. No money to collect. When does this end? I want to count coins, she sighed. You're indeed still my good old brother, Habing said delightedly as he patted Haga's shoulder. I don't care about those 18 gold coins. I'm just happy that he is my old big brother again. Haga nodded, smiling. He fumbled the receipt out and put it on the table. I'm going back today. Take this receipt. It's yours now, he said in orc language. Mine? Wait a minute. I lent you money to buy this receipt, and you've eaten several meals with this receipt these days. Now you say it's mine? Did I buy you this breakfast? Or did you buy me? Habing asked as he looked at Haga, a little confused. He found that his big brother's good image that he had just pictured was starting to crumble again. Haga thought for a moment and nodded. Consider it my treat. We used my receipt to buy it, no? Well, don't mind that now. Haga waved his hand. But why do you have to go back today? We have planned to stay here for a month. There are still many things to buy, and weapons are not ready yet. What's the rush? he asked as he looked at his brother, puzzled. The Stone Tribe has come looking for trouble to gold mines again. There was a small conflict the day before last. We lost 2 men, and a small mine was taken over by them. Father wants me back to retake it and to avenge our brothers. Hage's face became grave, his smile was gone, and for the first time, he was acting like an orc warrior. Those bastards have come back again. Seems they didn't learn enough last year. Brother, let me go back. I'll teach them a hard lesson. Haebing clenched his fist. His knuckles made a cracking sound, and a vein was throbbing in his forehead. Hege shook his head. No, you have to stay here. Weapons are crucial to us. You have to bring them home safely. Then he patted Haebing on the shoulder. Besides, your waist was wounded last year, and you've not recovered. Don't worry about fighting right now. I have fully recovered. I can smash their heads with my club. Look. Then he rose from the table and tried to prove his point. Father said Marcus is leading the attack this time. You can't beat him. Besides, I'll kill him myself. Hage's face was a little grim. His fist clenched and then slowly unclenched. He patted Haebing's shoulder, lifted his club, and walked towards the door. Haebing looked strange when he heard that name. Then I'll go with you, he said as he looked at his brother's back. Haebing shook his head. No, just stay here and buy the things we need. I'll be back in several days and eat Mag's delicious food again. Then he turned back and smiled at Amy. Goodbye, little owner. Amy waved her hand. Bye, big orc. Then she climbed down the chair and went to whisper to her big egg. Damn Marcus. How dare he attack our tribe? Bastard, Haebing said as he ground his teeth together. He watched Hege leave and resumed his seat helplessly. A conflict between tribes? Mag took a look at Haebing. His predecessor could speak orc language since humans' territory was bordering orcs. Most of the feats he had achieved had been from fighting orcs, so he could understand their language and speak it a little. As for elf language, he was no stranger to it at all. Otherwise, he wouldn't have married an elf princess. Mag was a little curious, but he didn't intend to ask. He was not the kind of man who liked asking personal questions, but he would listen if they wanted to talk. Mag, give me a plate of Yonjo fried rice. Maybe the good food can make me feel better, Haebing said to Mag after sitting silent for a while. Right? Please wait a moment, Mag said. He cooked the fried rice quickly and put it gently before Haebing. Haebing picked up a spoon and put it down again. Mag, if one of your best friends accidentally killed your woman, would you kill him? Haebing asked, looking up at Mag. Mag inclined his head slightly. Maybe. Perhaps Hege didn't know how to deal with this kind of thing himself. Grace was my brother's fiancée. They grew up together. Marcus belongs to Stone Tribe and is of the same age as my brother. We didn't have our gold mines yet, and Stone Tribe was very close to us. Children from 2 tribes always played together. My brother was the chief of children from our tribe, and Marcus was the chief of their tribe's children. They often fought, and since they were well matched in strength, they became friends after fighting a few times. Then we found gold mines and became rich quickly. Everything changed afterwards. Stone Tribe came to ask for gold mines, and my father agreed to give them 1 or 2 small ones to help them shake off poverty, but they wanted half, including the biggest one. Of course, we would never agree, and we didn't give them the small ones, either, so conflict started and has lasted more than a decade. There have been deaths on both sides. During one conflict, my brother and Marcus met on the field. They were both the strongest fighters among the younger generation in their respective tribes. They had never got the better of one another, and so it was that day. However, the Stone Tribe played dirty. They threw a stone knife to Marcus. Grace panicked and rushed out to help my brother. She got killed by the knife. Haebing paused a moment as he gave a sigh. I've seen it, actually. Marcus intended to toss the knife aside and didn't see her. The flying knife pierced and killed her. Haebing's story was short and plain, but made the listeners feel sympathy. It's a sad story, Mag said softly after a while. Haebing nodded. Yes, I haven't seen Marcus in the Stone Tribe for many years. I never thought he would attack our gold mines. This time, my brother and he might settle it once and for all, he said with a mixture of feelings. He had always followed his brother and Marcus around when he was young. Marcus had been like a big brother to him. Now, because of the conflicts and Grace's death, they had become enemies. Anyway, they'll settle it sooner or later. I knew one of them would die when Grace was killed. Habang picked up his spoon again and ate some fried rice. Then he said not a single word more. Mag, may I have the check? Connie asked as he smiled at Mag. Mag nodded, smiling. Sure. You've eaten 3 Rigiamos. That is 9 gold coins. I'll take it out of your receipt. Thank you. Connie rose from the table, took his long sword, and patted Habang on the shoulder. Don't worry. He'll win. Thank you, Habang replied. Then he went back to eating. Connie took a look in the direction of the counter. Seeing that Amy didn't intend to come out and say goodbye, he turned around and walked out a little disappointed. Habang finished his fried rice and left with his club. Mag could feel his depression. After a while, more customers came. Some wanted to try the new dish when they were told of it. Its price was much lower than Yangzhou fried rices, but it was still very expensive. Mag had grown used to their weird sound and embarrassed look when they took the first bite. They carried on eating regardless. They couldn't resist it. The breakfast time of 1.5 hours passed swiftly. Mag walked to the door and turned over the sign. Then he cleared the plates, washed them with the dishwasher, and went to wipe tables. Father, come here. Is the ugly duckling going to hatch out? Amy cried out suddenly, her voice excited and surprised. Really? Mag was also a little surprised. He walked to the back of the counter and crouched down beside Amy. He heard rustling from the blanket-covered egg, only that the sound was much clearer and quicker this time, just as if the little creature was trying to get out. Amy, did you say something to it? Mag asked curiously. It seems the poor creature is very terrified. It has tried to get out. Amy nodded solemnly. Yes, I encouraged it. Mag's face became a little odd. Then how did you encourage it? Be good and come out, ugly duckling, or I'll set you on fire. I'm serious. Amy said seriously as she clenched her little fist. Mag couldn't help but chuckle. What kind of encouragement was that? It was totally a threat. No wonder the little thing is clawing at the shell strenuously. It must be horror-struck. Father, does it think I'm lying? Maybe that's why it doesn't come out after I said it so many times. Can I use my fire on it? Amy asked as she looked at Mag, not knowing what to do. It would be cooked if you set it on fire, Mag thought. Then, while Mag was thinking about how to tell Amy to be patient, the egg cracked. They froze for an instant, and then widened their eyes to look at the egg that had a small crack in it. Come out quickly, ugly duckling. I know you're ugly, but I'm pretty. She stared at the big egg, full of expectation. She's just like the old me. Maybe she has inherited that from me. Mag looked at his little girl. She has a vicious tongue, and she has figured out how to do that all by herself. She is really talented. She was like a high-quality piece of uncut jade. He only needed to teach her a little bit. Between her cute appearance and her soft little voice, her vicious tongue would definitely choke others' words, but they couldn't get angry. He would feel wickedly cool. Mag had been brought here because of his vicious tongue, so he was restraining himself now. He only criticized the system at best and looked at this world with forgiveness and love. Otherwise, he might be transferred to another world soon because this world and those different species offered so many things for him to criticize. He didn't want to leave Amy's side. Amy was different, though. She might have a vicious tongue, but people didn't hate her very much. They would forgive her in no time, so he didn't have to worry about that. Mag nodded slightly as he looked at Amy. Looks like it's time I taught her how to use her vicious tongue. She had completely remembered the 9x9 table and was learning addition, subtraction, and easy multiplication of 2-digit numbers under the decimal system. She should be able to master the common calculations in everyday life soon. Amy was a quick learner, at novel been at. The crack in the shell extended and one became many. It started from the top and covered the whole egg in a short while. Mag was also gazing at it in excitement. What will come out? It's an egg and the nest was on a cliff, so it's most likely a bird. But it's so big, so it must be no ordinary bird. It might be some kind of monstrous bird. Ugly duckling, I'll count to 3. Then I'll set you on fire if you don't come out, Amy said with her big blue eyes. Her patience had worn out quickly. She held out her hand. Crack! With a soft sound, a fluffy little head with a piece of eggshell on it stuck out from the big egg. It looked around with its half-open eyes, confused and alarmed. At last it looked at Amy. Meow, it said softly. An orange cat. Mag's eyes widened. The little creature, which had a piece of eggshell on its little head, was clearly an orange and white cat. Its eyes were not fully open, and there was some liquid on its fur. It studied Amy with its half-open eyes. Such a cute little creature. Wow, it's so adorable. Amy blinked in surprise. She reached out her hand to touch it, but drew it back halfway. Father, you said the ugly duckling would become a swan when it grew up. But why does it look nothing like a roast goose? It may not be an ugly duckling after all, Mag said with a strange look, gazing at the orange cat meowing at Amy. He had never seen such a weird thing before. A cat hatched out of an egg? Darwin would rise from the dead if he heard about this. But maybe the oviparous cat survived the natural selection and the viviparous cat didn't. It's not entirely unlikely. After all, it's a different world. 9 out of 10 orange cats were fat, and the remaining one was very fat. He had raised a dog and a cat in his previous life, and that cat was a very fat orange cat. Looking at the cute cat's half-open eyes and its palm-sized body, even Mag had half a mind to raise it. Hugging a cat was really pleasant. But it came from this ugly duckling's egg. It is an ugly duckling egg, right? Then it must be an ugly duckling. Amy nodded her head, quite certain. Then she looked at the little cat with dislike. You're so ugly, and have 2 more legs. You can't swim, can you? I'll call you Ugly Duckling from now on. Maybe we can refer to it as Orange or Little Orange or Big Orange. What do you say? Mag was trying to persuade her to change the name because he felt sorry for this little kitten. No, Father, it's an ugly duckling. You can't change its name to whatever you want, Amy said seriously as she shook her head. Meow. The little orange cat shook its head in the shell, seemingly to show that it didn't like that name. Amy nodded, smiling. Yes, I know you like this name too, right? She removed that piece of shell on its head and said grimly, You will respond when I call you, Ugly Duckling, and I'll treat you well until you grow into a swan. Then, Amy swallowed despite herself. The little cat became obedient immediately. Meow, it said, nodding. Okay then, let's call it Ugly Duckling. Mag cast a sympathetic glance at the cat. Maybe she thinks those born out of eggs are most likely ugly ducklings. Besides, it's her pet. She can call it whatever she wants, but it won't grow into a swan. Amy's wish of eating it will probably go up in smoke. In fact, Mag seriously doubted that it was a normal orange cat. After all, that herb collector had found it on a cliff and reached there with a rope. It had no wings, though. He didn't know what it would become after it grew up. Then a cute Totoro came into his mind all of a sudden. He shook his head. It had better not be that fat. It looked just like a little orange kitten right now. Maybe because it came from an egg, it looked to be 1 or 2 weeks old now. It grabbed the eggshell with 2 white paws, trying to get out. Since it was too small and didn't have enough strength, it pawed for a long time and failed. Now it was looking at Amy pitifully with its sapphire eyes and meowed like a helpless child. It seemed it was already relying on Amy. Fine, fine. Let me help you, Amy said impatiently, but she had already reached out her hands, planning to get it out. Wait, Amy. We have to clean it first, Mag said quickly. He went to fetch a clean towel and helped Amy get the kitten out. They wiped it clean and wrapped it up with a towel. Only its little head was left outside. It looked at Mag and Amy innocently at it novel banana. Father, it looks so delicious. Amy's face lit up as she watched the little cat in the towel. It looks like a cat roll. Mag wanted to chuckle too. They both were so cute. Immediately, the kitten became uneasy. It tilted its head back and said, Meow, meow. It was trying to get out. Ugly duckling, be good. I won't eat you now. Don't worry, Amy said with a smile as she stroked its little head. The anxious cat became calm in an instant and fell asleep quickly. Let it sleep. We need to prepare something for it to eat, Mag said to Amy, smiling. It seemed it had used a lot of strength to get out of its egg in a hurry. It would be hungry when it woke up. It's a real lazy bum. It has fallen asleep after only a stroke. Amy drew back her hand with dislike. Then what are we going to feed it? Rainbow fried rice, she asked as she looked at Mag. Mag shook his head. No, newborn CA, ugly duckling can't eat fried rice. We have to feed it sheep's milk or cow's milk. Let's go out and buy some for it. He had raised his orange cat from a little kitten so he was very experienced. Suddenly, Mag remembered something and asked in his mind, "System, do you sell baby bottles?" "System doesn't supply goods for babies," the system replied seriously. "I don't have a lot of cash right now," Mag said calmly. "You'd better name a good price because it will be able to lick the milk from a plate after a few days. I don't really have to buy it. One high-quality baby bottle, and you'll get a pet bib for free. Only 5 gold coins." This shining message went across Mag's head. 2 free pet bibs, Mag said after thinking about it. 1 high-quality baby bottle, and 2 pet bibs are ready in the counter. "Please check," the system said, and then it disappeared immediately. Mag opened the door and found a brand new baby bottle and 2 lovely pet bibs. They were just perfect for feeding the kitten. He didn't want to buy milk from the system because he didn't know whether or not it would sell ingredients that were not included in the recipes. Even if it would, the milk would probably be very expensive. It might be produced by cows raised in some holy land. He didn't have much money now, and he had to save money to buy strength, so he couldn't spend money randomly. Amy nodded. "Okay." She put Ugly Duckling back into the basket and softly covered it with the blanket. Then she stood up and took hold of Mag's hand. She walked a few steps and turned to look in the direction of the basket, a little worried. "But, Father, what if it woke up when we went out? Would it be scared? I feel it looks on me as its mother." Mag shook his head, smiling. "I don't think it will wake up soon," he said. "It won't take long to buy some milk. Amy is pretty smart. She knows that she has earned its trust since it saw her first. It's the first time that she raises a pet. Even though she said some bad things about it, I can tell she likes it very much." Amy nodded. "Then let's go now and come back early." She took Mag's hand and walked towards the door. Indeed, it didn't take them long to buy a bamboo jar of sheep's milk. Mag only spent 20 copper coins on it and got another bamboo jar for free, which made him wonder if he was a little greedy. As they walked past the magic potion shop on the way back, they teased black coal and green pea again. When they came back and opened the door, they heard the kitten's cry. It sounded a little anxious. "Don't be afraid, Ugly Duckling. You're so ugly, so you'll be safe even if you're alone," Amy said as she slid under Mag's arm and ran towards it. Her way of comforting it is really different. Smiling, Mag walked in and put the milk on the counter. The little towel was a mess now, and the kitten was staring at Amy with its 2 paws on the edge of the basket like an abandoned child, its eyes watering, a pitiful sight. "Okay, fine. We'll take you with us next time, you little troublemaker." Amy let out a sigh. She reached out and stroked its head, and it immediately stopped crying and narrowed its eyes, enjoying her stroking. Mag smiled. She is always talking about eating it, but since they live together, she will surely bond with it. He didn't want to tell her what she should do, because it was best if she could figure out by herself that friends and playmates were important. She had already turned black coal into her friend. She said she wanted to eat it simply because she had a little obsession with roast goose, and it was nothing more than that. Mag took the baby bottle from the counter and went into the kitchen. He put the nipple and tube into boiling water to kill the bacteria. Then he poured some milk into the clean bottle and warmed the bottle with some warm water. He dripped some on the back of his hand to test the temperature, put the lid on the jar, placed it in the fridge, and walked out with the baby bottle. Mag crouched down beside her. "What is this, Father?" Amy asked curiously as she watched the bottle in Mag's hand. "The sheep's milk is in a transparent bottle that has a soft thingy on it. What's it for?" she thought. Meow. Ugly Duckling saw the bottle too. It must have smelled the milk. Its eyes were shining, and it was licking its lips. Apparently, it was starving at it novel been at. "This is a baby bottle. It's for feeding babies and baby animals. Like this." Mag smiled and put the nipple to the cat's mouth. The pleasant smell of the milk and its own instinct drove it over to the nipple, and it sucked on it happily. The white sheep milk flowed from the corner of its mouth and dropped on its white hair on the chest. It really liked it. The sugar content is relatively low in sheep's milk. An Ugly Duckling is like a 1 to 2 weeks old kitten, and it's a wild one, so it should be able to digest sheep's milk, Mag thought. If it doesn't work, I'll buy formula from the system. It may not be very cheap, though. Amy's eyes brightened. "It's so interesting. Father, can I feed it?" she asked expectantly. "Sure, but don't dirty it, because it is too small to be washed now. So, We have to wear a pet bib around its neck. Mag handed the bottle to Amy and took out a flower-patterned bib from the counter. He had wanted to remove the bottle first and then tie the bib, but the little thing seemed to have read his mind. It sucked on the nipple tight. Mag had no choice but to make Amy lift the bottle up and then tie it on while it was still drinking. Well, I'll leave it to you then. This bottle of milk should be enough. I'll go prepare the ingredients for lunch, Mag said as he looked at Amy, who was carefully feeding the kitten with the bottle in her 2 hands. Amy nodded. Okay, don't worry, father. Then she watched Ugly Duckling as it was enjoying its milk. Is it that good? She muttered, wondering. It seemed like Ugly Duckling had understood her words. It nodded while suckling. Mag went into the kitchen and washed his hands. Then, he took out several pieces of meat from the fridge, cut them into large chunks, and put them in a large jar to marinate. The meat was the most important. Last night, he had marinated enough meat for today and tomorrow, and it would be perfect by tomorrow morning. Now he had to marinate the meat for the day after tomorrow to make sure it had the best texture and that his Rigiamo's taste was consistent as well as delicious. When Mag had finished, he went to check Amy's feeding job and found Amy sitting on the ground, holding the bottle in her hands and suckling happily. Leaning on the edge of the basket, Ugly Duckling looked up at Mag and then at Amy, who was drinking its milk. Tears were welling up in its eyes. You can never leave the feeding job to a little foodie. Now she has robbed the kitten of its milk. Mag made a sour smile. Amy, why are you drinking Ugly Duckling's milk? It has nothing to drink now. Because I was afraid it would be too much for it, so I helped it out. She took another suck and turned to look at the kitten. Right? Ugly Duckling? Meow, Ugly Duckling cried out reluctantly. It gave Mag a sad look and wagged its little tail. This pet cat has no say in anything at all, Mag thought as he looked at it wagging its tail. The fat cat he had raised in his previous life would barely eat meat even if he put it near its mouth. Do you like sheep's milk? Mag asked as he watched Amy drinking the milk. Amy nodded vigorously. Yes, I love it. She never let the nipple out even when she spoke. Mag nodded, smiling. The next time we'll buy some for you too. The calcium in it will help you grow tall. Seldom had Amy had sheep's milk before. Mag was too preoccupied with the restaurant these days to notice this. He bought another baby bottle from the system. It couldn't be helped. After all, Amy and Ugly Duckling couldn't share one bottle. He warmed half a bottle of milk for the kitten and poured half a bottle for Amy. Looking at the two little things suckling cheerfully, Mag's heart felt warm. He had one more family member now. Suddenly, the system's voice sounded in Mag's head. New mission. Sell 1,000 Lagi Rigiamos in 10 days. After the mission is completed, you'll be able to unlock a new recipe. Tofu pudding. So far, you've sold 48. 1,000 again. How original. System. You can do better than that. Mag curled his lip. Actually, he had recognized the difference. He had to sell 1,000 Rigiamos this time. The system had learned after his crowdfunding strategy last time. The reason I set this number for you is to make you popularize the restaurant as soon as possible. Don't play games with me. You have to study hard, run the restaurant carefully, and get on the right path to becoming the god of cookery, the system said seriously. Fine. The mission isn't very difficult. But I'm curious. Is this tofu pudding sweet or savory? Mag asked concernedly. There were many people who preferred the sweet tofu pudding, and just as many who preferred it savory. Their argument dated a long time back. There were also a few people who liked the spicy tofu pudding, but their presence was hardly noticed. Whenever a discussion took place, the sweet tofu pudding people and the savory ones would start a holy war to decide the one authentic taste of the tofu pudding. They really hated each other. Being a firm advocate of the savory tofu pudding, Mag would certainly choose the savory. Sprinkle some chopped jacques one, papery dried shrimp, wood ear mushrooms, and garlic onto the tender tofu pudding, and then add some soy sauce. It's heaven on earth if you can get such a bowl of hot savory tofu pudding in winter. What the heck is sweet tofu pudding? Mag had nothing against people who preferred the sweet tofu pudding, but he hated it when restaurants only sold the sweet tofu pudding. Once in his previous life, he had gone to eat in a pretty famous restaurant. It had been a cold day in winter. He had wanted to eat some hot tofu pudding to warm his body, but had been told only the sweet flavor was available. He didn't use his usual vicious tongue that time. Instead, he took a good picture of the restaurant signboard, gave a clear indication of its location, and added a super appetizing picture of the savory tofu pudding. He then said on his microblog, "It feels really good to have a bowl of delicious savory tofu pudding in cold winter." That was the first positive feedback he had given, and he had millions of fans. His comment even made the top searches for a few minutes. Later, he heard the owner of that restaurant added the savory flavor to the menu because many savory tofu pudding people became angry when they went there and found only the sweet flavor available. He heard that restaurant's customers had tripled after that. However, the owner was a sweet tofu pudding person, and he lost his faith. People said that he sold his restaurant at a high price and opened a bar. Now Mag felt it was quite reasonable for him to be transported to this world. As a savory flavor person, of course, Mag wanted to sell the savory tofu pudding. This way, he could satisfy himself as well as make the savory tofu pudding well known in this world. Suddenly, Mag realized a serious problem. Which would Amy like? The savory or the sweet flavor? He took a look at Amy, who was holding the bottle drinking happily, and then frowned. She might have inherited my preference. But if not, which does her mother like? You will unlock both flavors, the system replied after a while. Mag nodded. That will be fine. Now he was a little worried that Amy would prefer the sweet flavor. But even if that was the case, he could do nothing. After all, she was his daughter. He would forgive her, and those who preferred the sweet tofu pudding added novel banana. Besides, he was not a customer anymore, but an owner. If he only sold the savory flavor, those who favored the sweet tofu pudding wouldn't be very pleased. Although tofu pudding might not exist in this world, he liked it when his customers were enjoying his food. He felt most satisfied every time he saw them smile. Mag nodded slightly. Right? I'll complete the mission ASAP. Then he hesitated for a moment and asked tentatively, but I want to have some savory tofu pudding now. Can we do pre-sales this time? A very long ellipsis went across Mag's head. Take your mission seriously. Show some respect, the system shouted, and its voice was almost like a roar, accompanied by some electrical noise. All right. I hear you, loud and clear. If he could cover his ears and his head, he would have done it. He had never thought that the system had such a short temper. Actually, he wasn't very serious about the idea of pre-sales. Now, the most important thing was to make his restaurant well known. Obviously, Rigiamo was his best solution, since it was fast to make and easy to take out. He would focus on selling Rigiamos for a few days. Mag took a look at the two little things drinking the sheep milk happily and went into the kitchen. As he watched the milk on the cooking bench, he suddenly remembered that in his previous life, the unprocessed fresh sheep milk didn't taste very good, but his daughter and the kitten were really enjoying it. Out of curiosity, he poured himself some in a bowl and took a sip. Mag's eyes brightened instantly. This sheep's milk was thick, tasty, and a little sour. The sourness didn't affect its taste, but instead stimulated Mag's appetite. He finished his half bowl of milk in no time, and the aftertaste of the milk remained in his mouth after he swallowed. This sheep's milk was much better than the processed cow milk and sheep milk in his previous life. No wonder the two little things liked it that much. This world's sheep's milk was very different. Looks like I need to buy a jar of sheep milk every day from tomorrow onwards. Mag put the lid on the jar and placed it in the fridge again. All three of them were really in need of nutrients right now. A jar of milk a day would do some good to their body. Now that Amy had acquired a new playmate, she smiled more often now. Amy gave it a stroke after it finished eating, and it fell asleep again. She took it to its basket with dislike. During lunch, Amy cradled Ugly Duckling in her arms. It looked up at Amy and meowed as she was eating Yangzhou fried rice. It seemed it wanted to eat it too. Father, can we feed it rainbow fried rice? Amy asked as she had understood its intention. Mag shook his head. No, maybe when it's bigger and has teeth. It was just a newborn kitten. It couldn't even eat baby food, let alone fried rice. Meow. Ugly Duckling seemed to have understood Mag's words. It bared its several milk teeth and meowed at him. Mag looked at its teeth with surprise. This world's oviparous cat is truly different. It has teeth on the first day of birth. Then he looked closely and shook his head. The teeth are too small. You have to wait a few days. Meow. Ugly Duckling lowered its head in frustration. It lay in Amy's arms and shrugged. seeming to be a little upset. It's no use getting angry. We won't let you eat it. But if you really want to eat it, Amy watched as Ugly Duckling raised its head slowly, and then she brought a spoon of fried rice to her mouth, smiling. You can watch me eat. Ugly Duckling burst into tears immediately. It lay in Amy's arms, motionless and expressionless. Mag shook his head with a smile. Just looking at them was enough to make him happy. After lunch, Mag cleared the table and warmed 2 bottles of milk for them. Now, Amy didn't have to rob Ugly Duckling of its food. I'll make the restaurant full of customers someday, and this impactful Lagi Rigiamo is a start, Mag thought with a smile as he opened the door. When Mag opened his door, a young man who had been waiting outside looked up at him immediately. Mag, I heard your restaurant has a new dish today. I was pretty busy, but I have left my shop to my employees and come here to try it, he said expectantly. He had short, blonde hair. Mag nodded, smiling. Yes, but it's only a trial sale today. This young man was called Prol Musin, age around 28, and also owned a shop on the Aden Square. He sold fragrant incense, which was brought here from the faraway capital of the Roth Empire. His commodities had won the favor of women from many species. He had 5 employees, and business was good for him. When he walked around here yesterday morning, he came across this fancy restaurant. He felt he had found his way after a plate of Yangzhou fried rice, so he ate his lunch and dinner here too. He'd also brought his 2 neighbors here when he'd come in the evening. He didn't come for breakfast this morning. Perhaps he had heard from his friends that Mag's restaurant had launched a new dish, so he came early and waited outside. Then I'd like one, please. But what's this new dish exactly? Prol asked curiously as he walked in. It's called Lagi Rigiamo, Mag replied with a smile. Lagi Rigiamo? What is it? Prol frowned. I know what roe meat and mo, bread, are, but they can be put together and become a dish. He remembered that when he'd asked Mag what Yangzhou fried rice meant, the latter had only said that Yangzhou was a very beautiful place at Novel Benedet. Looks like Mag has just named his dishes randomly. But he is such a talented cook that he can make such delicious food, and my understanding of good food has been completely torn apart, Prol thought, and took a seat. Mag nodded. Please wait a second. He went towards the kitchen. When he walked past the counter, he saw Amy was crouching, stroking Ugly Duckling's back hair ceaselessly. Cats are indeed very addictive, especially cute small ones. Even Amy can't resist it. Mag had already prepared the baiji bread and stewed meat beforehand. He took a loaf of bread from the oven, sliced it open, stuffed the chopped meat inside, and added some gravy. Then he put it in a bag, walked out of the kitchen, and handed it to Prol. Your Lagi Rigiamo, Mag said, smiling. Prol took it. Smells great. The meat aroma really intrigued him. It was more impactful than Yangzhou fried rice. He swallowed in spite of himself. The craft bag was clean and exquisite, with a cute half-elf back on it. He remembered Mag had a lovely half-elf daughter, but he hadn't expected that he would use her back as a trademark. He is very brave and interesting, a good father. He did business with all the species, so he knew very well the difficult position the hybrids were in. As a businessman, Prol didn't discriminate. Besides, Mag's little girl was so cute that every customer liked her. Is she not here today? Prol took his mind off them and looked at the aromatic food in the bag. A whole loaf of white bread was sliced open and stuffed with appetizing meat. So that's how it got its name. Is this meat called Lagi Ro? Wondering, Prol couldn't resist its aroma. He opened his mouth and took a bite, full of expectations. The delicious taste practically burst out in his mouth right away. The tasty gravy stimulated his every taste bud, making him feel most satisfied. While the Yangzhou fried rice was gentle like a sweet spring, this Rigiamo was much more violent, just like strong liquor. It had turned into a hot current, making his blood pumping. Ah! Prol opened his eyes immediately and let out a sigh of admiration. He felt his blood pumping like he had felt when he'd first bared his heart to the girl next door. He was young, and he felt he had retrieved his vitality. He always kept a smile while doing business with different species. He had even forgotten what a genuine smile should be like. Now, he felt he had found the urge to smile again. The food was so delicious that it made him feel good and want to smile. Prol took another bite, and another. and he kept his happy smile all the while. He came to this chaos city at 17 and started as a petty worker. He crawled, cried, failed, and won. At last, he'd gained a foothold here and opened his own shop on this Aiden Square. 10 years had passed. He had long forgotten what he'd looked like when he'd first come here. Years of comfort seemed to have made him forget that he had dreamed of opening 10 shops and becoming somebody when he first came here and laid his eyes on this grand, vast Aiden Square. After he finished his Rigiamo, Prole looked up at Mag all of a sudden. "Mag, I think I'll open a second shop," he said, smiling. Mag nodded with a smile. "Good for you." He didn't know why he had said that, but it seemed the Rigiamo had given him strength, and he liked it. "Please give me another one. I'm sure this blood-pumping food will be popular all over the city," Prole said with certainty. Mag nodded. "Thank you. Please wait a moment." Then he went into the kitchen and made another one. Slowly, Prole finished his second one. He fumbled out a purse from his clothes. "Mag, I'd like to buy 5 more for my employees," he said as he looked at Mag. Mag shook his head slightly. "Today's Rigiamos are only samples. Each customer can only buy 3 at most." The trial sale had been meant to draw some attention and make preparations for the official sale tomorrow, so he didn't make a lot. Prole nodded. He was a businessman himself, so he could understand. "Oh, I see. I'll buy 1 then. One boy's father has passed away. He is feeling a little down. Hope your food will give him some strength and cheer him up." Mag watched as Prole walked out. He collected the gold coins on the table. Then another customer came. "Mag, a new dish has come out today, right? What's that aromatic thing in that man's hand?" he asked. Mag had prepared more than 30 loaves of bread for lunch, and they sold out in a little while. The aroma of meat really whetted many customers' appetite. They asked Mag to make some more. However, there was nothing he could do. He had only prepared that many, so those who came first would be served first. He needed at least 2 hours to knead the dough and stew the meat. It was not like the Yangzhou fried rice, which only took him several minutes to make a plate of. Customers were interested in the exquisite bag, too. One even said he would use it as a little money bag. They thought the drawing on the back was extremely cute. Their compliments made Amy elated. By dinner time, more people had heard about this, and more customers came. The Yangzhou fried rice and Rigiamo made them crazy. They were cooked in a unique way, but their taste was intoxicating. They had completely subverted their concept of food. To be sure, they were expensive, but Chaos City was never short of wealthy people. They wouldn't mind spending some gold coins to treat themselves to a decent meal. "Sorry, today is only a trial sale, and we've sold out. We'll start serving it officially tomorrow. But since it takes time to prepare, the quantity for each meal is limited. Come back early tomorrow if you can." Mag showed the last customer out with a smile and turned over the sign. He breathed a sigh of relief. Although he had eaten Yangzhou fried rice and Rigiamo, he felt a little tired after a long day. He had sold more than 90 Rigiamos today. The number of plates of Yangzhou fried rice he had sold, because of Rigiamo, was a little less than before, over 50 plates. In total, he made more than 360 gold coins of profit today. He needed to wake up early tomorrow to knead more dough to make more bread. He had to sell 1,000 Rigiamos to unlock the tofu pudding. Now that he was an owner of a restaurant, he decided to take no part in the conflict between the savory tofu pudding people and the sweet ones anymore. He was a little curious, though. Will the people here be like the people in my previous life? Will some be into the savory flavor and others the sweet flavor? Hope they can get along well. If not, maybe they would duel every day in a ring if there were one outside the restaurant. Amy's voice interrupted his thoughts. "Father, you must be very tired. Let me massage your shoulders," Amy said to him, holding Ugly Duckling in her arms. "Meow, meow," said Ugly Duckling, seeming to agree with Amy. Mag looked at the two lovely things and then stroked Amy's head. "Don't worry. Father is not tired. Sit there and wait for me. If you feel sleepy, go wash up and sleep," he said, shaking his head. Amy shook her head. "No, I'll wait for you today." Then she gave Ugly Duckling's head a stroke. "Right, Ugly Duckling?" "Meow," Ugly Duckling said with a yawn. It nodded in agreement, but its unwillingness was written all over its face. Mag nodded, smiling. "Then I'll hurry up." He cleared the plates, wiped all the tables clean, and mopped the floor. By the time he was done, a half of an hour had passed. Amy was sitting on the long-legged chair, half asleep. An ugly duckling was already out in her arms. Mag untied his apron, hung it up, dried off his hands, and walked over to Amy. "Put it in the basket. We'll go upstairs and sleep," he said in a soft voice as he stroked Amy's hair. Amy nodded. "Okay." Meow. Ugly duckling seemed to have heard him. It woke up and gave Mag a sullen look. Then it shook its head as it held Amy's dress with its little pink paws and didn't want to leave. Amy shook her head. "No, ugly duckling. Father said you have to sleep here in your basket." Then she picked it up and held it against her chest. "Besides, you're so ugly. If I woke up and saw your face in the middle of the night, I might kick you out of the bed in fright," she said as she left the chair. Mag couldn't help but laugh. It seemed she didn't need to be taught by him. She was born with a vicious tongue. "Meow, meow," said Ugly Duckling, trying to prove it was not that ugly. But Amy shoved it into the little basket and covered it with the blanket added novel banana. Then she stood up. "Ugly Duckling, go to sleep. I'll play with you tomorrow if you behave," she said as she waved her hand. Then she took Mag's hand and was about to go upstairs. Meow, 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 meow. Ugly Duckling slipped out from under the little blanket quickly. It put its little paws on the edge of the basket and cried sadly like a deserted little cat as it watched Amy's back. Amy stopped her feet and glanced back at the kitten that was about to cry. "Father, it seems scared. Can we take it upstairs?" "I'll try not to kick it out of the bed," Amy asked as she looked up at Mag. Mag took a look at the pitiful kitten and then at the expectant Amy. These two little things were so adorable that he couldn't resist their double cuteness attack. He had no choice but to nod. "All right, let's take it upstairs." "Yes." Amy smiled delightedly, but when she turned around, she hid her smile and picked up the kitten with a sour face. "You're so difficult. Cover your face tonight. Don't try to scare me." She sighed. "Meow, meow," Ugly Duckling said happily. Then it positioned itself comfortably in Amy's arms, rubbed its little head against her chest, and closed its eyes in contentment. When they were upstairs, Amy put the sleeping kitten on one side of her little bed and carefully put its little head on the pillow. Then she went to wash up with Mag. Mag helped Amy take a bath, bought another cute bluish-violet set of sleepwear for her from the system, dried off her hair, and carried her to the little bed. As soon as she lay down, Ugly Duckling reached out its little paws and held her arm, putting its little head against her arm too. "You're so heavy." Amy pushed it away impatiently. "Good night, Father," she said softly as she looked at Mag yawning. "Night." Mag stroked her hair with a smile, and she fell asleep quickly. Ugly Duckling approached her again in sleepiness and still wanted to hold her arm and press its face against her. Mag shook his head, smiling. Such a clingy little thing. He tucked them in, turned off the light, took his sleepwear, and went to take a bath quietly. After the bath, Mag lay on his bed comfortably. "System, I think we need something special on the menu. Whether the Yangzhou fried rice or the Rigiamo, they are not exactly a main dish," Mag said in his mind. Yangzhou fried rice was good, and so was Rigiamo, but eating them every day was kind of boring. He knew he would get access to the tofu pudding after this new mission, but he still wanted to trick the system into unlocking one or two other dishes. Since you didn't take your last mission seriously and used a shortcut, you have triggered a hidden mission. Get 1,000 customers to eat in the restaurant, and then you can unlock the recipe for the braised chicken and rice. You have 15 more days. Each individual will be counted as one customer. If you fail the mission, your strength will be decreased by 0.5. You have got 155 customers by now, the system said after a while. "That means I have to get 845 different customers eating here in 15 days? Mag raised an eyebrow. It was much more difficult than selling 1,000 Rigiamos. After all, some customers could eat several Rigiamos each time, and there were regulars. One man might buy a dozen in a few days. However, getting 1,000 different customers was another matter entirely. If he could do that, his restaurant would definitely be filled with customers. Unfortunately, he had only attracted 155 customers since his business had started. If he failed this hidden mission, his strength would be decreased. That was a real problem for him. He wasn't worrying about business now, but about regular customers. New customers might not be able to get the food because of regulars, and that would end up with a slowdown in the new customers' growth in number. Eat in the restaurant are the key words. It would seem I have to control the takeout quantity. I have to get some publicity and, at the same time, try to meet the needs of customers, Mag thought, and his eyes lit up when he thought about the braised chicken and rice. Braised chicken and rice, Lanzhou beef noodles, and Shaxian delicacies were perhaps China's 3 largest restaurant chains. In his previous life, Mag had tried some authentic braised chicken and rice in several restaurants. Although, as always, he had engaged in vicious criticism, the taste had been truly excellent. The chicken had been very fresh and tender. The broth had been very tasty. After he finished eating the chicken, he had added a bowl of rice into the pot and made some delicious chicken-flavored rice. Now that he thought about it, he found that he had been indeed too picky. His face became sour when he remembered his vicious comments. Damn it. Even if I finish the mission and get the recipe, I have to be prepared because I may have to spend hundreds of days in the test field. Everything gets a return. Mag complained the god who had devised such a cooking standard in his mind, and then fell asleep quickly. The next morning, he was awakened by Amy's voice. He turned on the bedside lamp, sat up, and looked towards Amy's small bed. Amy was sitting on her bed, seeming to have just awakened too. She rubbed her sleepy eyes and looked around. "Father, where is Ugly Duckling?" she asked as she looked at Mag, confused. Mag was surprised. Didn't it fall asleep on Amy's arm? Meow. The sound was a little unhappy and came from under the bed. Amy and Mag looked under the bed at the same time. They didn't know when it had got there. It was looking up at Amy sadly, like a young wife that had been kicked out of bed. Its eyes looked awfully sad. Amy laughed. "Ugly Duckling, did I kick you out of bed?" she asked merrily as she lay on her stomach on the edge of the bed. Ugly Duckling nodded as if it had understood her words. Now it looked even more aggrieved. It lifted its little paw, seeming to ask for hugs. Mag smiled too, and felt a little sorry for it. Amy gave a shrug. "I told you that you might be kicked out, and you didn't believe me. You'd better sleep in your little basket next time." Then she looked at Mag and asked, "Father, do we need to get up now?" She yawned. Mag took a look at the clock. It was only 4:50. He got out of his bed, picked up the palm-sized, soft, Ugly Duckling, and put it onto the little bed. "It's too early," he said with a smile, shaking his head. "You two go back to sleep. I'll prepare the ingredients." Amy nodded. "Then I'll sleep some more." She held Ugly Duckling's head as it was trying to climb into her arms. "Ugly Duckling, don't claw my clothes. They were newly bought by Father. If you ruin them, I won't allow you to come onto the bed again." Ugly Duckling stopped moving immediately and nodded. Meow. Then it closed its eyes on the comfort of the quilt. Amy nodded, satisfied. "Good." She lay back on the bed, closed her eyes, and fell asleep again. Smiling, Mag tucked her in and covered the little kitten with the quilt better. Body temperature was very important to it. Mag changed into his clothes, washed up, and went downstairs to prepare ingredients for Ruggiamo. This morning, he planned to make 4 batches of bread, 64 Ruggiamos. He should be able to sell them out in 1.5 hours of the breakfast time. At 7 a.m., Mag went upstairs and woke Amy up. When she washed up, she insisted on brushing Ugly Duckling's teeth. Mag chuckled and explained for a long time to talk her out of it. At last, she threatened it into rinsing its mouth for a few times. Amy nodded as she was brushing her teeth. "Okay, we'll brush your teeth when they grow bigger," she said as she watched Ugly Duckling lick its lips and swallow. Ugly Duckling stared at the little brush and foam in Amy's mouth and slowly stepped back towards the door. It was a little scared. The sheep milk Mag had bought yesterday was already finished. He didn't have time to buy any until the breakfast time was over. During breakfast, lying in Amy's arms, Ugly Duckling watched as Mag and Amy ate Ruggiamo and Yangzhou fried rice, its eyes glittering. As no one wanted to feed it, it sadly covered its eyes with its paw, trying to block the torturous sight. Amy took a bite of her Ruggiamo. "Ugly Duckling, I can see your eyes through your paw. You can watch if you want, but we won't give it to you," she said as she looked down at it, smiling. Ugly Duckling averted its eyes, removed its little paw, and looked up, expressionless. Mag shook his head with a smile. After breakfast, he cleared the table and then opened his restaurant at 7:30. As always, Mabai came here first, waiting outside, but behind Mabai, he found several others lining up spontaneously. Their faces lit up when Mag opened the door. Several smiled and said, "Good morning, Mag.